Nepal fall 4 runs short after stunning fight against England. Nepal and Bam shines as England rally late in T20 Cricket World Cup thriller. Kathmandu Valley air quality reaches unhealthy levels, ranked 7th almost the most polluted cities globally. High-level commission nears completion of report on human and physical losses during the Gen Z movement in Nepal. Nepal divides 165 constituencies into 5 categories, establishes clear spending ceilings for fair election process. Japan votes in snow-hit snap elections as Prime Minister Takaichi seeks strong victory over LDP majority. And Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi rules out giving up uranium enrichment amid renewed indirect talks with Washington. Good evening, I'm Suveksha Rajak and this is NTV World Primetime News coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Across the globe, it's 1:15 p.m. in London, 10:15 p.m. in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. ICC T20 World Cup cricket. Nepal suffered another agonizing 4 runs defeat in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup opener against England. In contention till the last over, needing 10 runs to win, Sam Curran defended the target with skill, leaving Lokesh Bam, who scored 20 ball, 39 runs, clueless. Opting to bat first, England made 184 runs for the loss of 7 wickets. Nepal pushed the 2-time world champions to the brinks throughout the run chase until the last over. Lokesh Bam was stranded to 39 runs while Dipender Singh Aire 44 and Rohit Paudel 39 were the other notable scorers. We now go live to Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai, where Nepal is facing England in the first ever T20 World Cup encounter. For more, we joined by former Nepali captain Pawan Agrawal, who is at the stadium to share his insights on today's contest. Welcome to Primetime News, Mr. Agrawal.
Thank you for having me.
Am I audible to you right now?
Sorry, I'm not able to hear you properly. Can you come again?
Yeah, sure. We'll be right back. Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes. Please go ahead.
So it was the skill of Sam Curran that left Nepal short again, isn't it? Your views on Nepal performance?
I think we should all be very proud of the performance we have today from our team. The boys played really well. I think I'm personally very happy and proud of our team. They fought very hard. It's just that technically we are in the losing side. But then for me, it's as good as winning.
The last over in England innings, and as always, death over bowling made the difference. Do you agree?
Sorry?
The last over in England inning,
Okay.
and as always, that over bowling made the difference. Do you agree?
So in a match like this, I mean, you can point out the mistakes we make in the field, but then England really played well in last 4-5 overs. Till 15 overs, I think we had a game under our control when England were just 162, 63 for 6-7 wickets in 15 odd overs. But after that, they really played well, and all credit to them. You can't really blame our bowlers for that.
Sure, indeed. What positive can Nepal take forward from today's match?
I'm again not able to hear you properly.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I
for
will
that.
again repeat it for you. What are the positive points that our Nepali team can actually take from today's match?
I think there are a lot of positives we can take from this match. I mean, the bowling, batting, fielding, in all three departments, our player showed a great skill, which is required at this stage, this kind of tournament. So I think a lot of positives to take from this game, and for reminder of the games, I think if they play like this, I think we should be able to go to the Super 8.
The final question. Finally, your prediction for next 3 matches.
3 matches of Nepal.
Yes, next 3 matches now. Your prediction.
Okay. I think we should be able to give a good fight to West Indies, and we should be able to win against Scotland and I think Italy.
So thank you so much, Mr. Agrawal. That was Nepal's former cricket captain connecting to us live from Kathmandu, and not Mumbai as stated earlier. On to the rest of the updates now. So the air quality in Nepal's capital has deteriorated sharply today, with the Kathmandu Valley recording an air quality index of 175 this afternoon, placing it in the unhealthy category. According to the AQI, Kathmandu ranks 7th among the world's most populated cities today, while Cairo leads with 273. Officials attribute the worsening conditions to dry weather, industrial activity and ongoing construction, with further deterioration likely until rainfall occurs. Experts say an AQI between 151 and 200 is considered unhealthy, with higher levels posing serious risk. Under the current regulations, an AQI above 300 is classified as a disaster, prompting calls for more environment-friendly development practices to protest public health. Now, for the March 5 House of Representatives election, Nepal's Election Commission has tightened screws on spending of precise parties and candidates. Final transparency and regulated expenditure underscore EC's efforts to strengthen democratic process and ensure the money power does not overshadow political competition. Amid winds of change central to the March 5 election, the financial scrutiny is likely to shape both how parties plan their campaigns and how voters perceive the conduct of political actors. Sabika Shrestha explores the financial limits and spendings.
With less than a month remaining for Nepal's House of Representatives election, tighter financial regulations from the Election Commission has affected parties and candidates' campaigns. The aim, according to the Commission, is to promote transparency, control rising election costs and curb the influence of money in politics. The Commission has divided the country's 165 constituencies into 5 categories and fixed different campaign expenditure ceilings based on voter numbers, geography and accessibility. Spending limits range from a minimum of 2.5 million rupees to a maximum of 3.3 million rupees, with variations applied even within the same district. According to the Commission, candidates in 26 constituencies are allowed to spend up to 3.3 million rupees, while 52 constituencies have a ceiling of 3.1 million rupees. Similarly, candidates in 65 constituencies can spend up to rupees 2.9 million. 17 constituencies have a cap of 2.7 million rupees, and 5 constituencies have been assigned the lowest limit of rupees 2.5 million. Assistant spokesperson of the Election Commission, Kul Bahadur Zisi, said that differences in expenditure limits within the same district are determined by factors such as the number of voters and geographical conditions.
Everything should be included, whether it is in rallies or campaigns or in advertisements or in other activities. All those spendings should be included together. Then it should not be beyond the given limitation. According to PR system, they have to spend as per the number of their close list candidates. In first past the post system, each candidate has to can spend from 25 lakh to 33 lakh. It is depending on the number of polling centers, number of the voters, and also the area of the constituency.
Constituencies permitted to spend the maximum of 3.3 million rupees include Taplejung, Pasthar, Sangkhuashava, Sholukhumbu, Khotang, Dolakha, Ramechhap, Humla, Jazarkot, Bajhang, Doti, and Baitadi. To further enhance financial transparency, the Election Commission has implemented the Election Campaign Bank Account Operation and Management Procedures 2082. Under the rules, political parties and candidates must operate campaign income and expenditure exclusively through designated bank accounts. Donations must be deposited directly into these accounts, and cash transactions above 25,000 rupees are prohibited. The Commission has warned that failure to comply with spending limits or reporting requirements could lead to legal action, including challenges to election results. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Ram Thapa reporting for NTV World.
Now, the Election Commission of Nepal has begun distributing essential materials from central and district offices ahead of the House of Representatives election on 5th March. 9 types of materials will be sent directly from central offices, while 37 types will be managed at the district level. Materials include secure markers, stamp pads, ballot box, stickers, seals, voting forms, diaries, staplers, scissors, envelopes and other necessary equipment to ensure proper conduct of the election. Election officials say these preparations aim to ensure a smooth and transparent voting process across all constituencies. More news coming up. Let's take a short break here. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. Now, the high-level investigative commission probing human casualties and damages during the Gen Z movement in Nepal has entered the final stage of its report. The government had extended the submission deadline twice, and with just 5 days remaining, the commission says it's on track to submit its finding on time. Officials report that 90% of the work has been completed, including questioning over 200 individuals ranging from former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli and top security officials to eyewitnesses and local authorities. The Commission has also conducted on-site evidence collection across multiple locations. Formed in October 2025 under the leadership of former Special Court Chair Gauri Bahadur Karki, the three-member panel is tasked with submitting the report to the government by 13th of February. The government has emphasized that no further extensions will be granted. Nepal has launched a nationwide vaccination campaign against cervical cancer, targeting adults and girls in grade 6 and those aged 10 years outside school. The campaign, running until 27th February, will also include girls who missed last year's HPV vaccination, currently in grades 7 to 10, as well as out-of-school girls aged 11 to 14. The vaccine protects against the human papilloma virus, a leading cause of cervical cancer. Health Minister Dr. Sudha Gautam urged parents to encourage their children to get vaccinated, highlighting that the vaccine is safe and crucial for saving women's lives. She also stressed the importance of regular cervical cancer screening for women over 30. Now in Nepal's Bardia district, human-wildlife conflicts have claimed 14 lives in the first 7 months of the current fiscal year, with one person still missing. On 5th February alone, a man and a woman were killed in separate leopard attacks, sparking protest by local residents who surrounded the district administration office demanding safety measures. Authorities have convened the District Security Committee and pledged to implement all legal measures to control problematic wildlife immediately. Teams from the Division Forest Office and the National Nature Conservation Fund have trapped 5 leopards this year, but conflicts continue. Officials urge villagers to reduce dependence on forest and adopt safety measures, highlighting that more than 10% of attacks occur inside forest areas, underscoring the need of community awareness and precautionary steps. Now, the indigenous knowledge, skills and traditional culture practices in Nepal are increasingly at risk of disappearing due to urbanization, modern lifestyle and limited state protection. Languages, traditional attire, ethnic dances, songs and festivals passed down through generations are struggling to reach younger communities. Experts say oral traditions must now be documented through writing, audiovisual media and other methods to ensure their survival. Without policy support, many languages, skills and cultural practices may be lost forever. To address this, the National Foundation for the Upliftment of Indigenous Nationalities has organized a 3-day knowledge conference in Kathmandu, bringing together 800 representatives across the country. Leaders stress that protecting indigenous knowledge safeguards both culture and the identity of future generations, requiring joint efforts by the state, communities and youth. International updates coming up. Now let's take a short break. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World Primetime News, and this is the time for international updates. Let's begin with Japan voted in snow-hit snap elections today, with Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi hoping to turn a honeymoon start into a resounding ballot box victory. Opinion polls suggest that Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, which has governed almost non-stop for decades, will easily win more than 233 seats needed to regain a majority in powerful 465-member lower house. Pollsters even suggest with some caution due to undecided voters and wintry weather that the LDP and its coalition partner could secure 310 seats needed for a handy two-thirds majority. This would be the best result for LDP since 2017, when the Kaichi's mentor, the late ex-premier Shinzo Abe, achieved a similar result. Now, in other Asian countries, Thailand also held its general election today, with early reports showing progressive reformist parties leading opinion polls, but the incumbent conservative bloc was widely expected to retain power. Voter turnout remained high amid ongoing political tension, reflecting deep public interest in the country's stalled reform agenda. It is projected results are likely to prolong Thailand's political deadlock, as no party appears poised to secure a clear parliamentary majority. The election also marks another chapter in Thailand's years-long struggle between reformist movements and entrenched conservative interest. Now, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi ruled out Tehran ever giving up uranium enrichment in its negotiations with Washington, insisting it will not be intimidated by the threat of war with the United States. Araghchi made the remarks as a forum in Tehran, saying Iran is closely monitoring the situation, assessing all the signals, and will decide whether to continue talks after Washington and Tehran reopened indirect negotiations in Oman last week.
چرا ما این مقدار اصرار بر غنی‌سازی کردیم و می‌کنیم و حاضر نیستیم ازش بگذریم ولو اینکه جنگ به ما تحمیل بشه؟ چون کسی حق نداره به ما بگه که چه باید داشته باشیم و چه نباید داشته باشیم. الان هم آرایش نظامی اونها در منطقه ما را نمی‌ترساند. ما اهل دیپلماسی هستیم، اهل جنگ هم هستیم. اهل جنگ هستیم، نه اینکه دنبال جنگ هستیم. اتفاقا اهل جنگیم، آماده جنگیم برای اینکه کسی جرأت نکند با ما بجنگد.
Now, senior Hamas leader Khalid Mashal has rejected U.S. and Israeli calls for the Palestinian Islamist movement to disarm or allow foreign intervention in Gaza, insisting that the territory and Palestine remain under Palestinian control. Speaking at the Al Jazeera Forum in Doha, Mashal said Palestinians govern themselves. Gaza belongs to its people and Palestine belongs to its people. We will not accept any foreign rule, underscoring Hamas' stance against external oversight. The remarks come amid escalating tensions in Gaza, where Israel has pressed for disarmament measures as part of broad border security and diplomatic negotiations. Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said talks with the United States, including in a trilateral format with Russia, are adding clarity on how and when the war could end. Speaking to members of Ukraine's negotiating team in Kyiv, Zelensky stressed that each meeting contributes to understanding how and when the war can really end, emphasizing the central role of security guarantees for Ukraine's sovereignty. Zelensky's comments come amid intensified diplomatic engagement as the U.S. and European partners continue to explore frameworks for ceasefires, territorial negotiations and security arrangements with Moscow. More we have in international news. Let's take a short break here. Welcome back. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim on Sunday reaffirmed commitments to strengthen bilateral trade and expand strategic ties, with a particular focus on semiconductor industries, collaborating during Modi's two-day official visit to Kuala Lumpur. The two leaders described their relationship as a comprehensive strategic partnership and witnessed the exchange of 11 cooperation agreements, including pacts on semiconductors, disaster management and peacekeeping. Modi highlighted advancing cooperation in semiconductors alongside other priority areas such as artificial intelligence and digital technologies, noting Malaysia's established chip ecosystem and India's interest in joint research, manufacturing and testing initiatives. Now, a research team from the University of Science and Technology of China, USTC, has achieved significant advances in the field of scalable quantum networks, bringing this transformative technology closer to real-world application. A central goal of quantum information science is the creation of highly efficient and ultra-secure quantum networks, which require the long-distance distribution of quantum entanglement, a phenomenon involving a unique connection between particles. A major obstacle, however, has been signal loss in optical fibers, where transmission efficiency drops drastically with distance, making large-scale networks practical. Now moving on to sports news. Protesters and police clashed in the Corvetto neighborhood of Milan at the end of a demonstration against the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympic Games. Various groups had gathered to march with banners criticizing the environmental impact of the Games and notably the presence of some agents from the U.S. Immigration Enforcement Agency, ICE, who are in Italy to help provide security for the American delegation. 6 people have been arrested after police clashed with protesters in Milan, one of the hosts of the Winter Olympic Games, during the first day of the competition. It comes after the government tightened protest law in the wake of a demonstration last weekend in Turin that left more than 100 officials injured, according to government figures. Meanwhile, officials are investigating suspected sabotage on northern Italy's railway networks on Saturday. Before we wrap up, let's have the headlines once again. Kathmandu Valley air quality reaches unhealthy levels, ranked 7th among the most polluted cities globally. High-level commission nears completion of reports on human and physical losses during the Gen Z movement in Nepal. Nepal divides 165 constituencies into 5 categories, establishes clear spending ceilings for fair election process. Japan votes in snow-hit snap elections as Prime Minister Takaichi sees strong victory for LDP majority. And Iranian Foreign Minister Arachi rules out giving up uranium enrichment amid renewed indirect talks with Washington. That's all for the moment here on NTV World Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media platform and get the latest update from our official website www.nepaltelevision.com. I'm Suveksha Rajak. Thanks for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World. Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by.
Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World. Only after 6 decades of the institutional development of the now popular game of cricket did Nepal get the opportunity to play in the World Cup. Although cricket was introduced in Nepal during the Rana regime, the sport was confined to a limited number of people, namely the elite. It all started with equipment brought by students returning from their studies in Britain and India. Although Cricket Association of Nepal (CAN) was established in 1947, cricket remained centered among a few affluent individuals and in limited tournaments for a long time. Starting with the Bishnu Trophy in 1948, tournaments were limited to competitions like the Madan Memorial Sealed, Jugal Kishore Trophy, Rammani Trophy and later the Jai Trophy. Even as the sport expanded outside Kathmandu Valley, it took decades for cricket to develop at the grassroots level. After the International Cricket Council (ICC) granted Nepal affiliate membership in 1988, Nepali cricket embarked on its international journey. The rule of mandatory participation in tournaments by the ICC and the Asian Cricket Council (ACC) opened doors to international competition for Nepal. After participating in the Under-19 Asian tournament in Hong Kong in 1996, Nepal has not looked back. Winning titles at the Asian and global levels, Nepali cricket team continues its journey towards the pinnacle of world cricket.
Goes down the ground because he was given that line outside off stump. So the first boundary of the contest, a handsome one.
Initially confined to Tulikkhel in Kathmandu, many international tournaments were hosted in Nepal after an international standard ground was built in Kirtipur. Nepal has also shown its proactiveness in differently abled cricket tournaments like the T20 World Cup for the blind in 2012 and the Asian Cricket Tournament for the deaf. Nepali women's national cricket team has also achieved remarkable success in a short period of time. The latest addition in Nepali cricket is the floodlit Tribhuvan University Cricket Stadium and the Nepal Premier League that has provided opportunity for Nepali players to rub shoulders with world-class players.
South Asian leadership has to reflect back. Do we want to move individually, or is it possible to move individually, or is it possible for us to come together again like the original founders of SAARC did?
Has South Asia failed because of institutions or because of political will?
Now that the SAARC is not working, let's focus on BIMSTEC. But my argument is the very reason why UN has not been able to function its global role, the very reason why SAARC has not been able to function its regional role, unless you address the underlying root causes, how do you expect BIMSTEC to work any better? So it's just institutional proliferation, one more institution, good for people like us, diplomats, we have nice jobs and all that, but that's all it does. Ultimately, for the welfare of the people of the region, I don't expect it to do any better. So that is why we need to, South Asian leadership has to reflect back. Do we want to move individually, or is it possible to move individually, or is it possible for us to come together again like the original founders of SAARC did? That they realized that there was a essential sort of transformation that was essential, was to link regional security and common prosperity. That you needed this to come together to move forward in these two vital areas. There were differences even yesterday. But if you do away with the institution that is created to engage in dialogue, how do you bridge the differences?
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. This is me, Bhavana Casey. In this edition, we bring you the stories making headlines across the globe. From Ukraine peace efforts to US-Iran talks, scientific research to cultural milestones and remarkable human feats. Let's start with the US broker talks held in Abu Dhabi between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine and Russia have carried out a rare prisoner and civilian exchange following 2 days of US brokered peace talks in Abu Dhabi. The talks, however, produced no breakthrough, with Ukrainian President Zelensky saying progress had been difficult and calling for faster results. A total of 157 Ukrainians, 7 of them civilians, and 157 Russian soldiers will return home in the first such swap in 4 months. Russian, Ukrainian, and US teams took part in the talks in the capital of the United Arab Emirates, with the main sticking points believed to be territorial concessions. Ukraine is under pressure to secure security guarantees to prevent further Russian attacks if a deal is agreed to end the 4-year war. Ukrainian officials say 139 had been in Russian captivity since 2022. The talks in Abu Dhabi, the second round in recent weeks, are part of US President Donald Trump's efforts to end the war. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner have been leading the negotiations. Witkoff says the talk had been detailed and productive, but added that significant work remains. The most difficult issue is territory, with Russia demanding that Ukraine cedes the rest of the eastern industrial region of Donbass that Moscow does not currently control. Another key sticking point is believed to be Kiev's demand to get robust security guarantees from its European allies and the United States.
In a developing story at this point of time, US and Iranian officials are holding direct talks in Oman as tensions rise and fears grow of a possible military confrontation between the two countries. The talks, which are a part of a regional diplomatic effort to ease tensions, follow a US military buildup in the Middle East after Iran's crackdown on nationwide protesters.
The talks between US and Iranian officials have begun in Oman amid weeks of escalating tensions and fears of a military confrontation between the two countries. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi traveled to the Omani capital Muscat for the discussions, while US President Trump's advisors Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are also said to take part. An Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesperson says the goal of the meeting is to reach a fair, mutually satisfactory and honorable agreement regarding the nuclear issue. The exact topic of the discussion remains unclear, as the Trump administration has been pushing for issues beyond Iran's nuclear program to be on the table despite clear opposition from Tehran.
Members of the UK Parliament have voted to approve the release of documents linked to the vetting process that led to Peter Mandelson's appointment as a US ambassador. The move comes amid mounting pressure on Prime Minister Starmer following renewed allegations about Mandelson's close ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Starmer has publicly apologized to Epstein's victims and said he was sorry for having believed Mandelson's lies, accusing the senior Labour figure of misleading those responsible for approving his appointment. Mandelson gave the impression during the vetting process that he barely knew Epstein, an account Starmer now says was inaccurate.
I am sorry. Sorry for what was done to you. Sorry that so many people with power failed you. Sorry for having believed Mandelson's lies and appointed him. And sorry that even now you're forced to watch this story unfold in public once again. But I also want to say this. In this country, we will not look away. We will not shrug our shoulders. And we will not allow the powerful to treat justice as optional. We will pursue the truth. We will uphold the integrity of public life. And we will do everything within our power and in the interests of justice to ensure accountability is delivered.
The decision follows renewed allegations about Mandelson's past relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and questions over whether those ties were fully disclosed before his appointment in 2024. Opposition lawmakers and some members of Starmer's own party have called for greater transparency, arguing that the release of the documents is necessary to restore public trust and clarify what information was provided to ministers and officials at that time. The UK government had said it will comply with Parliament's decision, though the timing and scope of the document release have not yet been confirmed. The controversy has intensified scrutiny of the government's handling of senior appointments and raised broader questions about accountability and due diligence at the highest levels of public office.
In the medical research old, over 100 years of preserved bowel cancer samples at London's St. Mark's Hospital may help explain why the disease is rising among people under 50. Researchers hope the Boomers project will uncover links between diet, lifestyle, environmental factors, and DNA changes by comparing old and modern samples.
In a dusty room in the basement of St. Mark's, the National Bowel Hospital in London of the UK, over 100 years of bowel cancer samples have been preserved and stored in cardboard boxes. These samples, which are almost thrown away, may now hold the key to understanding why bowel cancer is increasing worldwide among people under 50. The study, called the Boomers Project, will analyze samples from the 1960s and compare them with modern-day cancer samples with the hope of uncovering how changes in diet, lifestyle, and environmental factors may be driving the rise in bowel cancer among younger people. Kevin Monahan of the St. Mark's Hospital says the research team is sequencing the DNA and through other lab techniques to understand what the exposures were.
There's a perception of a typical bowel cancer patient as someone who eats unhealthily and doesn't exercise, but it's not my experience. Actually, in my experience personally, in my clinical experience, where I see people who are newly diagnosed with bowel cancer at a young age, they say, well, why has this happened to me? Because I'm healthy, I eat healthily, I exercise regularly. And I say to them, it's nothing to do with what you have done. Although exercising regularly and doing all those things is very important over your lifetime, it will result in a healthier life.
The Institute of Cancer Research in London says diagnosis of the disease among the under 50s are expected to double between 2010 and 30. India's legendary comic series Amar Chitra Katha, first launched in 1967, remains a favorite among young readers for its vivid tales of Indian mythology and history. Now embracing digital platforms, the series has refreshed its storytelling and artwork while continuing to celebrate and preserve India's rich cultural heritage. India's iconic comic book series Amar Chitra Katha continues to remain popular nearly 6 decades after its launch in 1967. The series, created to introduce children to Indian mythology, history and folklore, has adapted to changing media consumption habits in the digital era. Amar Chitra Katha, which means immortal illustrated stories, has expanded beyond readers on smartphones, tablets, and other digital platforms. Despite the rise of streaming services and online entertainment, the comic series continues to attract young audiences and preserve interest in India's cultural heritage. Publishers say the series has updated its storytelling and artwork to appeal to contemporary readers while retaining its original mission of educating children about India's historical figures, legends, and religious traditions. It is noted that the Amar Chitra Katha's ability to adapt to modern technology and maintain its relevance highlights the continued demand for culturally rooted content in India's children's media market. Brazilian multisport athlete Pepe Fiamoncini has set an unusual endurance record by running 188 kilometers in 24 hours on a treadmill. Fiamoncini's feat highlights the growing popularity of extreme endurance challenges in Brazil and worldwide. The feat concluded at an open-air gym on the famous Ipanema beach in Rio de Janeiro, where a festive countdown 10, 9, 8, 7 marked the end of his marathon effort. Fiamoncini, known in Brazil for his extreme athletic challenges, trained for months in preparation for the attempt, which tested both his physical stamina and mental resilience. The athlete said the attempt was not only a personal goal but also an effort to inspire others to push their limits and pursue their own endurance challenges. It is said that running such a distance in a controlled environment like a treadmill presents unique challenges, including heat management, repetitive strain, and maintaining focus over an extended period. Fiamoncini's achievement adds to a growing trend of extreme endurance records in Brazil and around the world. China's Shenzhou 21 astronauts have been conducting experiments and health checks aboard the Tiangong space station for over 3 months. They are studying how medicines work in space while doing exercises to keep their muscles strong in weightless conditions.
China's Shenzhou 21 astronauts have steadily carried out in-orbit experiments, health monitoring, and maintenance tasks aboard the Tiangong space station over the past week, according to the China Manned Space Agency CMSA. The crew consists of mission commander Zhang Liu and astronauts Wu Fei and Zhang Hongzhang. They have spent over 3 months in orbit and are all in good condition. In the field of space medicine, the astronauts have been continuing work on a pharmacokinetics research project. By collecting saliva samples, which will be sent back to the Earth, they aim to support researchers in studying how medications behave in microgravity. The resulting data will help improve in-orbit drug use protocols for future missions. In terms of physical health, the crew participated in lower limb stimulation exercises while wearing biomimetic adhesive shoes. These exercises are designed to stimulate the flexor muscles of the legs under weightless conditions. Electromyography and muscle ultrasound data from the lower limb muscle groups were collected for further research.
The guitar played by late rock legend Kurt Cobain on Nirvana's hit song Smells Like Teen Spirit will be auctioned next month. The 1966 Fender Mustang is one of several famous instruments being offered for sale.
The instrument is among a wide-ranging collection of historic musical instruments being offered for sale, spanning multiple eras of popular music. Auction organizers say the items provide a rock history from the British invasion to the rise of alternative rock in the early 1990s. Cobain, who died in 1994 at the age of 27, became a reluctant voice of a generation, and artifacts linked directly to Nirvana's global success remain scarce and highly sought after. Also included in the sale is the logo emblazoned bass drum head used by the Beatles during their landmark TV appearance in February 1964, a performance widely credited with igniting battle mania in the United States and reshaping the American music industry. Together, the items highlight pivotal moments in rock history, underscoring how individual instruments and stage props can come to represent seismic shifts in popular culture.
Meanwhile, the world of music is also celebrating its present stars as the 60th Grammy Awards was held in Los Angeles, with Kendrick Lamar emerging as the biggest winner for the second year in a row.
Golden, the inescapable hit from the movie K-pop Demon Hunters, has become the first ever K-pop song to win a Grammy Award. Performed by the fictional band Hunter X, it picked up Best Song for Visual Media as the awards ceremony got underway in Los Angeles. Released last June, K-pop Demon Hunters became Netflix's most viewed movie of all time, with more than 480 million views. The propulsive soundtrack, full of candy-coated earworms, became the first to top the Billboard charts since 2022, when Disney's Encanto created a similar craze. Its success at the Grammys suggests a growing recognition of Korean pop's cultural and commercial force. Other early winners included British stars Youngblood, The Cure, and FKA Twigs, and 8-year-old Aura V became the youngest ever Grammy recipient for Best Children's Album. The premiere ceremony took place across the street from the main Grammy Awards at Los Angeles Peacock Theatre. Ahead of the ceremony, Kendrick Lamar took home 3 awards, including Best Rap Song for TV Off, continuing his Grammys winning streak. 86 of the night's 95 prizes were handed out, covering most of the genre categories, including Best Country, Best Rap, and Best R&B. The first award of the event went to Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, who picked up Best Pop Duo or Group Performance for their wicked duet Defying Gravity. British star Youngblood won Best Rock Performance for his live rendition of Black Sabbath's Changes, recorded during Ozzy Osbourne's farewell concert in Birmingham last year.
Thank you so much. I can't believe this.
Kenyan designers are highlighting sustainability at Nairobi Fashion Week, showcasing collections made from locally sourced and eco-friendly materials. The event aims to raise awareness about fashion's climate impact while promoting Africa as a leader in environmentally conscious designs.
Kenyan designers are taking the runway in a bold effort to promote sustainability and decarbonization in the fashion industry at the Nairobi Fashion Week this year. The event, which brings together emerging and established designers from across Africa, is using the platform to draw attention to fashion's climate footprint. Organizers and participants emphasize the environmental cost of the second-hand clothing imports, which dominate much of the continent's fashion market. By contrast, the showcased collections focus on locally sourced materials, renewable fabrics, and design practices practices that reduce carbon emissions. The week-long event features runway shows, panel discussions, and workshops aimed at educating consumers, industry stakeholders, and young designers. The displayed collections blend traditional African aesthetics with modern sustainable technique, reinforcing the idea that high fashion did not come at the expense of the planet. It is hoped that the initiatives like these will inspire other fashion weeks and brands to adopt greener production processes, reduce waste, and invest in circular economy models, positioning Africa as a leader in sustainable global fashion.
Ice floating, a cold water recreation activity, is gaining popularity in Moscow, where participants float on the icy Moscow River wearing insulated wetsuits. Organizers say the activity is safe, relaxing, and growing in public interest since being introduced to the city this winter.
Cold water recreation activity is gaining popularity in Russia and has recently appeared in Moscow, where participants enter the icy waters of the Moscow River during winter months. The activity involves participants wearing insulated rescue wetsuits that allow them to float on the water's surface while maintaining the body warmth. Organizers say the equipment enables safe participation despite low water temperatures. Ice floating has been practiced for several years in northern regions of Russia, including the Murmansk region and Lake Baikal. This winter, the activity expanded to the Russian capital, where temperatures in January and February can fall to minus 20 degrees Celsius. According to organizers, the practice is promoted as a form of relaxation and stress relief. Sessions are conducted under supervision with safety measures in place. It is said the public interest has increased since the activity was introduced to Moscow this winter. Local officials have not reported any incidents related to ice floating activities in the Moscow River.
Hundreds of devotees gathered at Batu Caves to celebrate Thaipusam, one of Hinduism's most important festivals. The event features rituals such as body piercings and pilgrimages up to the 272-step staircase to honor Lord Murugan. The event features rituals such as body piercings and pilgrimages up the 272-step staircase to honor Lord Murugan.
A sea of color lights up Malaysia's landmark Batu Caves outside the capital, as hundreds of thousands of Hindu devotees gather to celebrate Thaipusam, one of the religion's most revered festivals. The festival, which honors Lord Murugan, is marked by elaborate rituals including body piercings, ceremonial off, and long pilgrimages. The festival, which honors Lord Murugan, is marked by elaborate rituals and long pilgrimages up to the 272-step staircase to the cave's temple. Participants carry kawadi, ornate structures balanced on their shoulders or hooked to the skin with skewers, and perform acts of devotion to seek blessings or give thanks for answered prayers. Officials say security and health measures are in place to manage the massive crowds, which include both local devotees and international visitors. The festival draws attention not only for its religious significance, but also for its dramatic and visually striking rituals, which are considered a testament to faith and endurance. It is said Thaipusam continues to play an important role in preserving Hindu traditions in Malaysia, while also attracting tourism and promoting understanding of the community's religious practices. The festival lasts several days, with devotees and spectators alike participating in ceremonies, music, and prayer at the limestone caves and surrounding temple complex.
Italy's Venice kicked off its 2026 carnival with a colorful parade along the Grand Canal, attracting large crowds of spectators. Dozens of decorated boats sailed past, featuring themed costumes from pirates to science fiction, as the traditional Pantagana rat marked the start of the festival.
Venice officially launched its 2026 carnival with the traditional opening parade along the Grand Canal, drawing large crowds to the city's historic waterways. The event featured the Pantagana, a large carnival rat symbol that traditionally marks the start of the festival, as it floated down the Grand Canal amid confetti. Dozens of decorated boats took part in the procession, with crews dressed in themed costumes. Participants represented a range of themes, including Olympic-inspired teams, pirates, science fiction characters, and traditional masked performers. Spectators gathered along the canal banks to watch the parade. The Venice Carnival is one of Italy's best-known annual festivals and typically attracts large numbers of domestic and international visitors. Organizers said they plan to maintain the festival's traditional elements while incorporating new themes and performances to engage younger audiences and international tourists.
That is Venice kicking off its 2026 Carnival in a spectacular style. Well, this brings us to the end of this episode of The World this week. We hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. We shall see you again next week with a new episode. Also, do follow us on our website www.nepaltelevision.com, our social media handles as well as our YouTube channel. Till then, take care and bye-bye.
Cricket in Nepal is not just a sport, but a passion, almost like a religion, that has united the country at difficult times. One of the oldest team games in Nepal, cricket marks a milestone with a third ICC T20 Men's World Cup participation this year. Welcome to Declassified. I am Devendra Subedi. Today's episode of Declassified is all about Nepali cricket and the person who redefined Nepali cricket in the modern era. Yes, cricket is one of the oldest sports in Nepal. But as a cricketing nation, Nepal emerged as one of the best teams in the associate world after 2010. In this episode of Declassified, we try to declassify Mr. Cricket, Paras Khadka, the man himself and the myth. We try to unravel the journey of the most iconic figure of Nepali cricket, his early days, his flamboyance on and off the field, and now his vision and plans as an administrator of Nepali cricket. Let's welcome the captain, Paras Khadka. Welcome to the show, Paras.
Thank you.
Whenever people call you Paras, the word captain automatically comes with you, and still it feels like Paras the captain. Does that tag suit you always and follow you always?
I resigned from captaincy in 2019, retired in 21, but got to lead my country for a period of 10 years. Basically, when people relate to me, either they call me Dai or they call me captain. I think it did that transformation of Nepal cricket that happened even beyond me, but during our generation is when we qualified for our first ever World Cup. We got ODI status from Division 5 to ODI status, and the whole journey meant that I think most people still use that tag with me. I've kept saying that for me, I fulfill different responsibilities. When I started or growing up, I never had any dreams of wanting to play for Nepal. Cricket is something that has happened to me. I'm almost an accidental cricketer, but from the time that I got picked to play for my nation from 2002, early November, December, starting from under 15s to 17s to 19s and to the senior team, and didn't realize that I spent almost 2 decades playing cricket for my country. It was a privilege, it was an honor. There's no better feeling than playing in front of a packed full house at TU International Cricket Stadium and with regards to all of the designations that get attached with me, from former cricketer to secretary now to captain. For me, I'm blessed to be part of Nepal cricket, and if people call me captain, it's up to them. But for me, as long as I'm part of Nepal cricket, I'll be more than happy.
All right, the conversation just warmed up with the title, Captain. Let's just start with the early days of cricket, Paras. Why did you take up cricket? You said you were an accidental cricketer. You were equally good in basketball and football, if I'm not wrong, with some of the national players as your teammates like Santosh Saukala in football. So why did you take up cricket? As you said, accidentally. How did that accident happen?
Growing up, I was in school. I think my school had a significant impact on me taking up cricket as a sport, not just cricket, in fact, all sports. I was part of the school's basketball team, football team, table tennis, athletics. I was good in studies, so it meant that for me to study as well as, play was never an issue, especially our part of the world. You always compare studies, education, sports, they don't go hand in hand. And growing up, I think the school laid the foundation for me. My teachers were very, very supportive. The family support has been incredible. And to add up, the most important factor here is that I think cricket chose me rather than me choosing cricket. If I look back at my own career, there was no plan as to, taking up cricket as a sport. My only thing was because I played all sports, I was athletic. And I remember back in school, and when I was in grade 10, there's inter-school cricket tournament, which was part of a selection tournament, which I didn't know. So as part of our school cricket team, we instigated our sports.
This was somewhere around 1998, 99?
I'm not that old yet. So this is around 2001 and 2.
Okay.
So we told our school sports head to, for us to let us participate, because I was in grade 10 then. It almost meant that I would have finished off school, and it meant going into high school and all of that. We went into a tournament, participated in it, won the tournament. The tournament is part of a selection for the Kathmandu regional team. Next thing you know, I got picked for the Kathmandu regional team. Having won the tournament, got to lead that team as well. Then I think the selectors, the coaches then saw some potential in me, perhaps. So we went on to play the regionals. Back then we were divided into 5 development regions. So it was Kathmandu, Birgans, Biratnagar, all of these development regions that we were participating and representing. And later on got picked for the Nepal under 15 team, and as a vice captain. Played the first ever Asia Cup, under 15 Asia Cup, and it was historic because we
won Pakistan.
I think then we beat Bangladesh. We used to play against India, Pakistan, all of this. I think that format has come back after a very long period now, where the Asia Cup does include the associate nations as well. And from under 15 to under 17, even during the under 19 days, I really thought that I would play under 19s and probably, like every youth in this country, plan to go abroad for higher studies. My plan was either go to Australia or England, because these were cricket playing nations, would go there, study, play some form of cricket, and establish a career like studying. But life, destiny had other things in place. 2008, my visa got rejected to Australia. I'd applied for it, and since then, in 2009, I got to lead my nation.
That's a very interesting thing you said. So we must be thankful to the Australian Embassy here for the legacy after that.
It's not the Australian Embassy. It was a mistake on my end, where the consultancy that I had given responsibility to apply for visa, unfortunately at that batch, the visa got rejected. So more than the Australian Embassy, it was about the documentation that weren't fulfilled.
But that moment was very critical in terms of you staying in Nepal and leaving the legacy then after.
I had no other choice, because I was already, most of my friends were either in the US or Australia. Some of them were in the UK, and everybody thought that if not for my education, what would I do? So because I was playing for Nepal, automatically meant that I got to lead Nepal. I still remember in 2008, then coach Roy Dias had come up and said that We were in Jersey and Guernsey Islands for the Division 5 tournament. We lost to Afghanistan.
That was the tournament when Mehboob Alam took 10 wickets?
Yes, we lost to Afghanistan in the semis, and that's when the coach came and asked me, like, because I was the vice captain of the senior team, he said, would you like to lead the team? I said no. I said I want to go abroad.
That was in
2008.
Yes. Because you became captain.
That was before applying for the Australian visa. So because I'd already made plans, but like I said, life, destiny had other things in store. Once the visa got rejected, I was still playing for Nepal, and then Can gave me the responsibility. The selectors chose me as the cricket captain in 2009, and from then onwards, won our first ever championship in 2010.
Sports person or athlete, is it inborn or something that can be developed? Is there something called natural talent?
I think it takes, obviously, to be athletic, you'll have to have good genes, one, and also the environment that a kid grows up around. Once you grow up in an environment where, like, you have households. I remember growing up, like, we used to watch the Olympics, we used to watch Wimbledon, and you had these India-Pakistan matches. I was born in 87, so in 1992 when Pakistan won the World Cup, I must have been 5, but I still vividly remember that there was a cricket match at home where everybody was, cheering when Pakistan won its first ever World Cup.
Probably that was the World Cup which Nepal, most of the Nepalese watched. Imran Khan lifting that glass trophy, the globe-like trophy. Even I remember that moment. That was pretty much widely covered, and we watched it. So that inspired you as well?
Even I was 5, so I didn't know what the inspiration was then, but I vividly remember that there was a cricket match being played. Obviously, the digitalization of the country, where TV had just come in to this part of the world. It was accessible. Cable TV was part of our household, and it was, very early. I'm not that old, but when you talk about it, it almost feels like long time ago. So from that memory, then moving forward to growing up, like I mentioned, school played an important part, and it's just that cricket became important to me. Why? Because I was tall physically. It helped. Even one thing that must have really helped me was I was very competitive. I'm still very competitive at whatever that I do, and it's about having commitment towards what you entitled towards. So for me, even from a very young age, that cricket part of it and trying to do the best of what I can was always there. And as I grew, it meant that cricket became part of my lifestyle. So once the under 15 happened, the 17 happened, 19 happened. There were moments when you thought that you'd leave cricket and pursue some other things, but cricket just kept pulling me. And I look back at my career of almost 2 decades, it almost feels surreal. Why? Because I never thought I would go on to play for Nepal, play like for a span of almost 2 decades. But it's been amazing. I've seen the whole transformation of how Nepal cricket's grown. I've seen how difficult it was for the generation before me, the amount of hardships, the amount of struggle that they had to go through. And I saw that side, and then to see Nepal emerge as a young cricket nation, and to see and talk about Nepal cricket in 2026, where the world is talking about.
I just want to take you back to earlier what you said. You, being the vice captain of the national team, was already applying for Australia. And now the Nepali players who are abroad are coming back to play the NPL. So scenario has changed now, hasn't it?
It's a full circle in its sense, but we're still growing as a cricket nation. There are a lot of things that we need to establish. One thing that is very important, we still don't have a strong base. There are a lot of eyeballs, a lot of people to support. Can is putting in a lot of effort. People like myself, there are other people who've been part of Cricket Association Nepal, administrators, players, coaches, everybody, and of course now we have the government, the corporate sector, everybody coming in together to support this sport. Why? Because cricket has given us national recognition, it has given us an international affiliation. Cricket is almost like a religion now, and for a Nepali, when we boast about Everest to Buddha to all of these things, now we can talk about our own cricket team as well as the Nepal Premier League.
You talked about how your transition came from the under-15s to the 19 and the senior team. Did you have any formal coaching in your school days, in your early days?
Back in 2000, I think it was 2001, the former national team head coach Arun Aryal sir had a small academy. It was called the Everest Cricket Academy at Ratapul. And during the winter vacation, I did spend around 30 days. So because I lived in Baneshwar, people won't believe this, but the house where we have right now in Baneshwar, Buddhanagar, used to have paddy fields all around us. So we used to travel from Baneshwar to Sankhamul, to Gaucharan, to all of these activities. And that is when there's a lot of cricket, because we watch cricket on TV, we try to emulate, we try to copy the bowling actions, try to like hit a straight drive like how Sachin used to hit it with his high elbow. And then after a while, when I joined that academy, I was in grade 8, I think, spent a month and a half. Maybe Arun sir saw a bit of me then, which later on when he was part of the selection and all of that, which he confesses now, saying that, you know, I saw you doing it. There was some spark that he saw when I was in grade 8 itself. But that is probably the only formal coaching that I got under him. After that, it all came down to natural ability. Not just me, I think every cricketer in our generation.
But that time was like that.
And now maybe things have changed, but even until now, we still don't have a
Now
structure
parents
to
are keeping
produce.
private coaches.
Yeah, but I mean, it's inevitable. Why? Because things have changed now.
Yes.
There's a career in cricket, at least when you're part of the national team, and this way things have changed over the last 30 years almost now.
Do you remember in those days one particular performance that you still remember in your early days in your school team that you might have played for, or the district club matches? Any particular one performance that you remember that you did really well and your name came like, okay, this is the future star coming up?
I think Balota Cricket Club gave me my first break. It was my first, not my first cricket club, but at national level, probably the first club that gave me opportunity. I remember playing a match against Yeti Airlines. So Yeti Airlines then used to have all
very
the
strong
stalwarts.
team. Assembled all players and strong.
They had the best players from Nepal. They used to get paid. I mean, even if those small stipends, they used to get paid. So playing for Balwata in Tudek Hill is when I think I bowled at Raju Khadka Dai, who was the Nepal team captain then. And he tried to hit me and I got him out. I'm sure that also made a bit of noise and presence.
Yes,
that
headlines,
this tall boy who's who's just got the captain of the national team out. It was a club cricket match. Maybe those were small moments that I can think of in terms of club cricket, which possibly when you get the national captain out, that's where...
And people did not know the future captain is taking him, making him out.
You look back at time and you never realize how things move forward with. But as we are speaking and recollecting all the memories, that is one memory which I feel should have or could have made an impact for people in the cricket system to realize that there's this young fast bowler who got... Because when you play cricket, obviously you get somebody out, but getting the captain of the national team out, I'm sure made me feel that there's a young kid that has some potential.
Wonderful conversation with Paras Khadka. We are just warming up. In the next part of the conversation, we talk about his professional career. Any other memories of the age group teams you still remember? Because I remember some of your innings and some of your performances in the under-19s as well.
I think the under-19 is what shaped our cricket. The generation before me and our generation, we never had thought that we'd reached where we have today. The under-19 World Cup was an important moment. Why? Because that is when we got to play against these cricketing giants. I got opportunity to play 3 under-19 World Cups. And during that time in 2004, when we beat South Africa by 1 wicket, it was in Chittagong or it was in Bangladesh. I forgot the venue. And
it was in Bangladesh.
Yes. Sakti Gauchan was our captain at under-19 level. Then 2006, we beat...
again with South Africa.
Again with South Africa. In the same year, then we beat New Zealand. In the finals to win the plate championship. And like you had some of these best cricketers who went on to play for New Zealand, players like Martin Guptill, Tim Southey, all of these players were part of the
Nepal team, that under-19 team had some of the best players of the country.
I think that batch, the whole transformation of Nepal cricket was that the under-19 team would basically go on to represent and become the senior team. And then from there, 2008, we beat Zimbabwe. Obviously lost to West Indies in the plate championship final. So
that was in Malaysia.
Yeah, Malaysia. So that age group level, a lot of great memories, because that whole generation that I played under 15, 17 is who grew on to represent the national team. And we spent more time with each other during that period of 10-12 years, and it was just an incredible experience and something when you think of still gives you a lot of smiles.
Your transition from age group to the senior team was not long. You were immediately picked 2006 Under-19 World Cup, and then you had to come for the senior team now. You made, for the senior team, you played more than 250 international matches. This is according to Cricket Info data. More than 250 for the senior team only, from List A till the ODIs and T20Is, right? During those days, you know, win or loss, Nepal winning or Nepal losing depended basically on your performance, especially with the bat. Now, was it the mentality? Was it the lack of talent? Or why was it? It's all coming to Paras Khatka is there, means we are winning. If Paras is not there, if Paras is not playing, we will lose. Even the public, I remember, used to leave the ground once Paras wicket is down. Why was that?
I think people give me a lot more credit. The thing is, cricket is a team sport, and as an individual growing up, it was important that we align with team values, their responsibilities given, and when you start performing, that's when the expectations start to grow. So for me as a batter, because I was leading the team and I was scoring runs, my batting became better. I started as a bowling all-rounder, but later on became more of a batting all-rounder. So the whole growth of my own career meant that especially when you look at cricket and stats, you compare so many other things. You look at somebody who's scoring runs, somebody scored a 50, and the statistics say that if I scored more runs, the team would go on to win more matches. But during the same time, there were bowlers who were doing a lot of hard work. I still remember in 2004, 5, 6, 7, I think until very late 2011 or 12, that if we made anything beyond 170, 150, we would almost defend any score. Scoring anything beyond 200 was almost impossible, because there were very few matches that people scored against us or we scored against. And cricket also then was different to what cricket is now. And when you look back at all of these things, for me as a senior player, which I went on to become, and as a leading run scorer, even from a young age, it almost meant that I felt the responsibility to lead the team. And because I scored the runs, there were other batters around me who fulfilled their responsibilities as well. And of course, the bowling and the fielding with our national team has always been a talking point, from Under-19 World Cups to the senior team and even to the current team that we have. So it all comes down to people giving me all of this, good comments or good, the people say that, it was about you, but I think more than about me, it was about the team. And if I managed to score runs, and I hope and wish I was more consistent, which we tried to level best of what we could, but unfortunately, with our cricketing background of what we learned watching cricket on screen and trying to emulate that without any formal coaching and then into formal coaching. The only formal coaching we got was at the national level itself, which meant that we learned at the highest level, but we learned the hard way, came across a lot of hurdles, but that whole spirit within the team meant that for me it was an honor to score as many runs, take as many wickets and take as many catches, and as long as I was doing that, and even if I got out on a 0 and if I didn't take a wicket and the team was winning, that was the most important part. So more than the crowd, recognizing, because our fans have always been very, very passionate. They've given so much love, so much of respect for all of us. But for me as an individual, the respect from the teammates, the respect from the coaching unit meant a lot, and I was glad that I could go on to lead my country. And
you are being modest here, Paras. Let me bring the other fact now. Nepali cricket changed from 2010 onwards, when we won the Division 5 here in Tribhuvan University, right?
Yeah.
From 2010 to 2026, in between, everything has happened in between this. And you were the person leading that, sometimes off the field as well, when ICC had suspended the Cricket Association of Nepal. So, from 2009, when you took over captaincy, 2010 we got into Division 4, and then continuously in 2014 we qualified for our first T20 World Cup. 2018, we got our ODI status. And again, back to back. Till 2021, you were still playing, right? So the performance, the records itself speak that Nepali cricket transformed within those 10 years of your captaincy. Now, how important was the World Cricket League structure in establishing Nepal and other countries as such into world cricket?
Very important. Growing up, we were told that unless you become an ODI country or you enter Division 1, your careers are not secure. And for us, because we started from Division 5, it almost meant that every division that we were in, and it didn't happen at once. There were times when from 5 to 4, then 4 to 3, then 3 to 4 again, then 3 to 2, then 2 to 3 again. So this whole transformation happened, and obviously when the ODI status happened, because the ICC structure is such that the ODI status means you get more funding. The professionalism can only start. Until then, whatever money the Cricket Association of Nepal was getting is part of how you perform at the international level. The Asian Cricket Council was there, which is funding you with a certain amount of money, which you ran your cricket with. But the important moment was ODI status. Why? Because it's just been, what, 2018 to 26 is 8 years. And if you cancel a couple of years with COVID, it's just been 6 years that Nepal cricket's entered the professional mode of how things are or how things should be. So it was an ultimate destination. Why? Because it meant that you could now take up cricket and be paid for it. Cricket Association of Nepal started the payment and a contract structure somewhere around 2013, I would say. It started with, I think, 5,000 or 10,000 rupees. And by the time I retired, I think I was making, what, 40,000 rupees as the central contract player in 2021. But now you look at the contract values of the players has increased. But I still say that's still not enough if you want to make sure you attract a lot more eyeballs. But ODI status obviously is an integral part of the growth of where Nepal cricket is heading towards. It's not been easy. Why? Because the way we have got to ODI status and the way we have retained has been...
The way we got it was itself a fairy tale.
Fairy tale, and it's just that Nepal cricket's always gone through a lot of hardships.
But before that, we were so many times unlucky, weren't we? So there was bound to happen at certain
The way
point.
I look at it is, I think there are certain things which are meant to happen. So as a cricketer, when you play the sport, when you go on to a cricket match, obviously you prepare, you plan, and when you play, either you win or lose. But the most important part is the preparation part of. So when you go into a cricket game with full preparation and you identify that you put in your best effort, there are days when your best effort might not yield the result that you're looking for. But when you come out of a game, if you have won, you identify what needs to be done to become better. And when you have lost, you rectify the mistakes and come back stronger. So these are the formulas that when we emulated meant that pathway for Nepal cricket from Division 5 to 4, it almost meant that every time we lost, we almost felt it was the end of our careers. But again, we woke up the next day saying that why can't we push for it? Because we spent our whole lives into it. And as the transformation kept going, I mean, as we move forward towards where we are today, it was almost destined for us. It was just that we were part of the whole puzzle where everybody was fulfilling their own responsibilities. As I speak of the whole journey over the last, let's say, 8 years of ODI status, and beyond that, there were some miraculous wins. God has been kind, if you believe in God. I think the team's hard work, dedication, the coaches that we have had, the one thing that Nepali cricket has been blessed with is we've been blessed with great coaches. From Roy Luke Dias to Stuart Law until now, we've had this great bunch of coaches, and even without a structure within our cricketing base, with the coaching input and the hard work of the players and the dedication meant that the results kept coming in. But if we are to grow as a cricket nation from now onwards, we just can't rely on our destiny.
We will definitely listen to your plan on the last part of our program. I'm coming back to your individual career again. Batting average of 35. You are an all-rounder who played in the middle order. Batting average of 35, right? Are you happy with how you ended your ODI career? Like, was Paras Khadka just for 10 ODIs?
So, not just me. I think our whole generation worked very hard.
Yes.
If you talk about, let's say, Sakti Gauchen, who was an instrumental figure, somebody who I grew up idolizing. So he played the first ODI and had to retire. Right? Basant Regmi, Sarad Vesakar, or Gyanendra Malla, all of these. So our generation meant that we worked towards something where we somehow managed to reach to a destination which was ODI status. Now, when the ODI status came in 2018, from 18 until 21 is when I had to retire in 21, meant that when COVID happened in 20, we
now,
lost.
This is an interesting, I had to retire or I retired?
No, it was a decision that I made.
Yes.
Because I had reached a point where our whole generation, obviously, when you go through the archive, there were times when we went against our cricket board, we went against the cricket system. We allegedly made claims that the Cricket Association of Nepal was not functioning the way it should. I've had conversations with people in the board right now saying that when we put up a voice then against the cricket board, all cricket board had to do was bring us, make us sit down and show us the board of what the fundings were, how they're functioning. Because it's not easy, even with ODI status and the budget that we have right now, to function the whole cricket's ecosystem is not easy. Because what we're doing is we're using the same money to whatever we generate to run our cricket system. But that whole pathway of my career meant that when I retired in 21, it reached to a point where I did not feel like picking up a cricket bat. And for me, with whatever work that I do, I want to give in my 100%.
You also made statements later stating that if Monty was the coach, probably I'd be still playing. So that somehow meant that your retirement was not all by yourself or all by feelings only.
So what my own calculation...
External factors also played there?
My calculation was that we're playing this ODI cycle with 36 ODIs. I had played first 4 ODIs, then COVID happened.
Yes.
And we had 32 ODIs remaining. So then I thought of the fact that now, because I've almost played 19 years, and when I looked at the team as well, all of the seniors were gone. Like it was me, Sharad was still playing, Gyanendra was playing. Binod Bhandari came in later, but he was in and out of the team. I almost felt like, so if I play with the cricket team right now, probably I was mentally at the peak of my career where you knew how to construct runs, how to manage, the team and all of that. But also meant that for the 10 years that I was captaining the team, almost everything that I had to say to the national team or to the young people, to the youngsters like Rohit, Dipendra, Sompal, Karan, all of these guys that grew up, Sandeep, all the guys who came in later, I felt that as a senior player and a guardian, there's nothing left for me to say in the dressing room for me to inspire them. Then I thought to myself that if I retire now, what next is that I only retired from playing the sport. I didn't retire from Nepal cricket. I keep saying this fact. And then even on a personal level, it meant that I'd lost the hunger to pick up that cricket bat or play cricket anymore. And once that feeling came in, and then I realized that, okay, if I had to now say that I'm done with the sport, it meant that I would end up my career, but I would also have to plan it in a way where if I had to, let's say, help or contribute towards Nepal cricket in a different way, it would mean that I have to come into Cricket Association Nepal. The constitution of Cricket Association Nepal meant that I would have had to retire 2 years in advance. So if I had to come in 2023, I had to retire in 21, qualify during the 2023 tenure, and then run for elections.
So that was more of a political decision from your side at that point of time. Can I say that?
I think it wasn't political. It was a bit of everything combined. Why? Because when you play the sport, you realize that time just flies by. You never realize that you spent 19 years. I'm 39 now, so I've spent 25 years actively in Nepali cricket now. So from the time that I realize what is right and wrong, it's been a cricket bat in my hand. And in 21, when I decided to call it quits, it meant that the desire in me had ended. But the desire in me only ended as a cricketer then. The desire in me is to see and help and fulfill like everyone's dream in our generation or everybody in Nepal cricket right now to see Nepal become a full member country or test playing. Then I realized that when I calculated the odds of what next, if I was still playing, I'd have scored more runs, taken more wickets, but that wouldn't satisfy me because our generation saw this whole growth of the struggles, the hardships, and winning beyond imagination. Nobody thought.
From you drawing 45,000 or 40,000 as a grade A cricketer to the grade A cricketers drawing in 6 figures now, transformation has happened, and your journey, your decision has turned right.
So I think it's still early days. It's just 2 years of me coming into cricket administration. There's a lot more to be done.
Again, we'll come back to that later. Again, I'll take you to your professional career, Paras. Do you remember how many T20Is you played? 33.
Like when you mentioned the stats of 200 plus matches, I really haven't. I never looked at stats. Maybe if somebody tells me, like I know I've scored 500s for Nepal, but I wouldn't know how many 50s I've scored. I remember pivotal moments when we qualified for the World Cup, when we got ODI status. I can tell you what happened during a cricket match during that 19 years that I played, but I never really looked into stats. Stats are important.
You never played for stats. That's very clear, because the way you played also, we saw it in our reporting days. You played 33 T20Is for Nepal. Given your game, your style of playing, your aggression, do you think you are more suited for T20Is than the longer version, or the shorter version more suited
I think
as a
our
player?
generation grew up, like I debuted in a 3-day game with red ball and white clothing, and I retired, let's say, with a T20 game. I think my last game was against Thailand, which got rained out. It almost meant that for me, it was about playing the sport. The format actually doesn't matter when you love the game. I think with cricketers, if you really talk to cricketers who played the sport, the format and the younger generation now might probably think of the fact that the T20 format is the most popular format. More kids, more people follow the game because of this format.
In fact, your last competitive format was T10.
That was just
anyway, you were there as well, involved.
Yes.
Maybe not as a competitive player out there after retirement, just as an ambassador of Nepali cricket also you were there. Captaincy now, Paras. You were definitely one of the best captains the country has seen, the associate world has seen, and even in world cricket, you are compared as one of the best captains cricket has seen. What makes a great captain? Is there something off the, let's say, box, out of the box you have to think of what makes a great captain in cricket especially?
I mean, all of the adjectives are fine when people talk about the captaincy, but the captain becomes important when the team is there, winning as a team and also standing by each other as a unit. For me, this generation of cricketers that I got to play with and got to represent as a player and even as a captain meant that my voice was the player's voice. So captainship obviously means it's a leadership position, but the value for that position only adds up if people around you are there to respect, incorporate, and more than the position of it, we play a sport to win. So when we play a sport to win, everybody has to align with team values, team ethics, which our generation carried this for a very long period of time. For me as a captain, the first thing that I was asked was, what is it that you like to do in 2009? And I said, I'd like to lead by example. And that is a theory and a principle that I've always carried, that leading by example is an important part of it. When you're the captain, there are things which don't just relate to what happens on a cricket field. There are things beyond the cricket field as well. You have to identify individuals, their shortcomings, their strengths, their weaknesses. We sit down with different individuals at different stages. For me, more than the cricket part, solving life problems were difficult. We're looking at all the stories that all the cricketers that I played with, some had.
That somehow relates to the coaching theory of some of the coaches as well.
I mean, it's
captain and coach, how important is
very important. In cricket, let's say, when you enter the cricket field, the captain takes all the decisions. Off the field, the coach and the captain decides a lot of things. So for me as a captain, from the time that I started under 15 to, I look at all the coaches that have been part of Nepal cricket, one difference why Nepali cricket has done better compared to other sports is because of the coaching that we have had. I mean, Nepal's football team, volleyball team, any other sport that people play in this part of the world, Nepal cricket is different. Why? Because we got that great coaches who've come, and the hardworking players then got a pathway for them to start performing and becoming better at whatever that they do. The important part to all of this is that with good coaches and the right team environment and the passion for our generation was, we didn't play cricket for money. We didn't play cricket because We wanted to play cricket. We played cricket because once we go to national, we played cricket for Nepal to win. And when that started becoming a habit, it meant that we started working even harder. We started thinking beyond what people could comprehend or dream of. In 2013, before going into the first ever World Cup, there were people who never realized or thought that Nepal could ever play any World Cup in any team sport. But for us, the belief was within ourselves. We believed on the fact that once we start producing results on the field, the rest will take care of itself. And
if I sum up you as a captain or your captaincy in these 3 words, would I be right? Aggressive, experimental, and lead by examples.
I was aggressive, yes. Experimental, I couldn't experiment as much with what I wanted to because there were so many conversations.
I'll just give you an example. You started the first match, T20 World Cup 2014. You bowled the first ball against Hong Kong.
Yeah, but that's more
unexpected move for the opposition.
Yes, but that was more a tactical move. Why? Because when Irfan, who we played regularly
normally against, people associate Sompal would start or Jitendra
Bhutia. It was a tactical move. It was a tactical move.
But that makes that decision.
That came very spontaneously because I had injured my arm leading up to the World Cup for 2.5-3 months. I hadn't actually bowled medium pace, so I just bowled around 4 or 5 days before the World Cup. And when we batted, we scored 141 or something in the first game. And as we came into the dressing room, I went to Pubudu Dasanayake and told him that I want to bowl the first over. I just felt that, Irfan's there. He hits medium pace very well.
Round the wicket, I will put
and I said, if we cramp him up and, put the pressure on him, his wicket becomes an important. Because even I remember in the 2013 World Cup qualifiers when Nepal was playing Hong Kong and whoever won, would have qualified for the World Cup. Irfan's wicket was an important part of it. So I just thought that because of the conditions and just to give the opponent a surprise factor meant that I told the coach that I want
that does make it experimental.
I mean, tactical, experimental, and anyway, God's been kind.
So you'd say I would be right, if I sum up your captaincy in those 3 words.
I mean, okay. I'll take all the...
Okay, thank you Faraz for taking that. Any regrets in these years of playing cricket, captaining the country, your professional career-wise, any regrets on and off the field, any decisions?
More than regrets, we couldn't play back-to-back World Cups. We still haven't played a 50-over World Cup yet. It's more than a personal regret. It's a team composition that... maybe with better structuring around us, we could have done better. Because if you look at talent, even the generation that played before me, which when I came into the scene for the first time as a 15-year-old, some of these cricketers that played the game were phenomenally talented. And because I compared talent then to now, it almost meant that talent was pretty similar. It's just the structuring of the talent is different compared to what it was 20 years ago. Regrets meaning obviously the losses. Every time we lost, it felt obviously you don't like to lose, but I've never carried this burden of having regrets over things. Why? Because when we played cricket, because this is what we knew. We put in every effort that we could, and with limited resources, maybe this was the best of what we could have achieved with our limited resources. So that is why the regret would be not qualifying for world events, not playing more World Cups. But now we get to see the national team living that dream. We've qualified back-to-back World Cups from 24 to 26. And the important factor here is that now that we've played our 3rd World Cup, our vision is probably, now people might even start to talk about to win the World Cup. And I know it's a strong statement to have, but because having played the 3rd World Cup means the next goal should definitely be winning a World Cup. It'll take 15-20 years. I'm not denying the fact that we'll win a World Cup in the next 5, 7, 8, 10 years. But if you have dreams, if you have plans, if you have structures around how you want to function, and with the T20 format where the playing field is pretty much even, which means that Nepal, because it's a cricket mad nation now, and we have young kids, parents bringing kids into academies, wanting their kids, their sons and daughters to play a professional sport, professional cricket, means that for me, more than the regrets is what the future holds. And as of now, very excited. Why? Because all of the things that I wanted, or we wanted as cricket players is happening right now.
Paras Khadka and the conversation, the man, the myth of Nepali cricket itself. We are almost reaching at the interesting part of this conversation. Let's sum up your administrative role now after retirement. You announced even before retiring, and as you said earlier, your retirement was meant to be made there so that you could come into administration, right? What are the major challenges you have seen in administrating cricket in country like Nepal now in these 2 years?
For me, it wasn't meant to be for me to come into administration because I had to work very hard to come into this position. So the challenges are bigger. Why? Because when you stand on outside of the administration, when you're playing, you only focus on like putting in the effort, your diet, your training, your plans, your strategies. But here, it's about managing everything around it, managing expectations. People almost feel that because there's somebody who played cricket for Nepal and captain Nepal means that results happen automatically. It doesn't work like that. The Cricket Association Nepal is a functional body. It has people from different backgrounds, different ideologies and all of this. And putting everybody together is very challenging. But the fact that for me as a former cricketer now into administration, I received a lot of support from everybody in the cricket system. There are times when we don't argue because that's what it is. And when we played the sport, all arguments that happen inside a dressing room never got into the public. But when you're an administrator, any conversation and every dispute actually comes in front of the news. Means that it's a position that demands a lot of...
you had always been a straightforward person,
Yes,
Paras.
I think
have you learned to be diplomatic, that means?
I think more than... see, this thing called diplomacy and being straightforward is standing up for right things and always looking at the larger picture. The bigger picture is always important. For me, as an administrator, my responsibility is to align everybody who's part of Nepal cricket, the districts and the provinces together. And also I expect people to support me because I've just come into this. It's just been 2 years. I'm not a magician and I'm not somebody who can make things happen just like that, because to establish a structure takes a lot of effort, lot of planning around it. And as of now, the last 2 years have been just revolving around all of these things. There are a lot of things that I've learned as an administrator, and more than pinpointing, because when you talk about administration, there's the cricket politics to it. There are groups of people for or against you or against whatever that everyone's trying to incorporate or institutionalize. But the most important factor is cricket shouldn't be losing in this battle. The position that I have and my commitment towards Nepal cricket has always been the same. I'm the secretary right now. Tomorrow, in 2 years' time, even if I'm not part of Cricket Association of Nepal at the central level, I'll definitely be part of the district or the provincial level. I never played cricket wanting to become a cricket captain. But having played the sport from under 15 to 17-19s, when I kept doing well, it meant that there was a time when CAN recognized that they gave me the opportunity to lead the team, and I got to lead my nation. So for now also, I've got this opportunity, I've got this belief from people in the cricket administration that, okay, there's somebody who's played cricket, who's part of the administration, and now all I need is a bit of more time, a bit of more dynamism within our own cricket system and structure. I feel the last 2 years have been amazing. Why? Because there's more eyeballs in Nepal cricket.
Aligning all stakeholders for one cause.
And it'll not happen overnight. It'll still take a lot of time, but the conclusion of the matter is that when you're part of cricket administration, the motive is for you to help Nepal cricket grow. That is what I had as a cricketer, and I've just transferred that responsibility now into an administrator. Whatever I do is what Cricket Association Nepal does. That's why if people say Paras Khadka played cricket and Paras Khadka is doing whatever he is, it's not Paras Khadka who is doing things right now. It's the Cricket Association of Nepal. Paras Khadka is part of history now. Cricket Association Nepal is who I work for, and I've got this opportunity once again to create another pathway or another platform or another opportunity to create better opportunities for young cricketers. Having gone through that whole journey of what a cricket player goes through from absolutely nothing to where Nepal cricket is today, feel humbled. And there's this inner obligation within me that I hope I can live up to people's expectations. Administrative job is not easy, but like I said, I'm learning, and I hope we can grow as a cricketing nation.
Now, definitely being a permanent ICC member or the tester status, that's what we say, that's the next step. You have always been saying that. What reforms, if we need to do to achieve that?
A lot of things, but I think we're heading in the right direction. The Nepal Premier League obviously helps because it's attracting a lot of proper eyeballs within the country as well as outside of it. We need to grow our grassroots cricket system. One of the things that I said day one when I got elected as a secretary is that I want to really change the grassroots cricket system. For us to change the grassroots system, we need money. The resources have to be huge, and that is why establishing the Nepal Premier League was very important. As of now, even with the Nepal Premier League, whatever money that we are generating through it, we are spending as much money just to create a value out of it. So sometimes when you read millions of money on newspaper, on social media, people almost think that cricketers in Nepal are so rich they can do anything and everything. But what we are doing is every penny that we are generating from cricket or from the NPL, we're using that to run our cricket, to run our cricket teams, to have bigger, better contracts, to have more ground staff, to have more equipments for everybody within our cricket system. So it's going to take time, but the resource part is where I believe there are a lot more people that are ready, a lot of people that want to become part of Nepal cricket. Investments are on the pipeline where people want to become really invested towards this whole journey of where we're heading towards. And also because when a country plays, like for example, when Nepal plays the first match on the 8th of February in Wankhede, I'm sure the whole country will stand still and support. Why? Because I remember in 2014 when we played our first World Cup, watching our first match in Dallas last year where we had 10,000. The whole stadium was full of Nepali people. And now with the kind of passion that we've seen in Nepal and outside of Nepal, our fans have been the biggest strength. And for us now to monetize this energy, monetize this passion of our cricket fans, get right stakeholders, get right business people into our system, and the most important thing is for Cricket Association of Nepal to have a proper corporate structure within our ecosystem. We have an office management that is doing a lot of work. We have a cricket board. Eventually, I would want to see Nepal cricket run by professionals. We, on behalf of CAN board, we are working on the policies, working on the development aspects of things, but it has to be run through a professional management, through professional people, and that is where we are heading towards. And I hope if we can institutionalize this, there will be a lot of changes in the future.
When it will happen, let's say we will be a permanent state, get a permanent status, can we exactly say then this will take this many years?
It's going to take time. Let's work on the process of it. It's almost like when you go into a cricket match, I mentioned earlier in the videos, you might be the best prepared team, but there might be a time when a low-ranked team could beat you, which means that it doesn't mean that you become better or you become a lesser team. For us right now, we need to work on our grassroots cricket structure. Our districts and provinces have to be financially independent. We have to have a robust cricket system, a year-long cricket system within our district. We have a calendar now. It's a jam-packed cricket calendar. But besides that, unless we get money into our district and provinces where players are contracted from district levels to provinces, and we have club level cricket and school level cricket and college level cricket happening and academies established all over the country, we will not grow, and the whole process of we becoming a full member will take a bit of time. Our women's team is starting to perform, our men's team have been performing well, our under-19 teams have always performed. Now with the Nepal Premier League happening, the investors coming in, the owners of the Nepal Premier League, the sponsors of the Nepal Premier League, the sponsors of the national cricket teams have made a significant impact to where we're heading towards. So it all comes down to re-establishing a proper structure around where we want to head towards. Hopefully, very soon.
In this part, let's talk about the upcoming T20 World Cup. Paras, we have had some wonderful performances. As you said, you ranked your best performance, those 3 matches that Nepal played in 2014, and the last World Cup 2023 also, Nepal made a mark in the US and the West Indies. What are your expectations from the team this time around?
Just to go out there and enjoy and express ourselves. Last time we came very close to beating South Africa and Bangladesh, and we made our presence. Playing against England, even Italy, West Indies and Scotland is not going to be easy. Why? Because sometimes when you look at our cricket current position is that we've come through a lot of hardships. A lot of results have fallen in favor for us to be where we are today. And because we're a young cricket nation, our fans believe that, we should be winning anything and everything. We have to be patient. For us, let's back our team. Our boys have put in a lot of effort for this team. Just to qualify from Asia is a very difficult task.
So is your message that let's enjoy the matches that Nepal plays there?
That's how it should
the
be.
Team.
That's how it should be. I know it's not going to be easy. Why? Because the expectations are there.
Yes.
But imagine if we pull up offsets. What's going to happen then? After that, if we win a cricket match, if we win against England, it'll obviously create a lot of ripples. But that is not going to change the overall cricket system that we have. But it'll obviously add value to where we're heading towards. That is why global events are important to us, because we don't get to play against these countries very often. So when we play against them, we put in our best effort. We don't want to put too much pressure on our team. They have done enough to reach at the global stage. So let us enjoy the first 4 matches of the first round. If we can go into the second round, it'll be...
Chances, how do you see the chances of going into the second round?
You'll have to play good cricket. See, nothing's going to be easy. The whole challenge is managing expectations. The boys have prepared, planned. We have a great coach in Stuart Law, the management. On behalf of CAN, we've put in everything that we can to make sure our players are aligned to perform at the best of what they can. And right now, not just right now, let us just enjoy this whole journey of where Nepal cricket is currently. We need to work a lot on how we are functioning, but World Cups don't happen often. We are almost entering 30 years from 96 to 2026 since we started playing international cricket. This is our 3rd World Cup. It's in India. We know how big cricket is in India, so it's an opportunity for players as well as a country to make a mark. For us as a young cricketing nation, that we are here, we are ready to deliver, and the most exciting part is I think there'll be hundreds and thousands of traveling
fans. If the news are to be believed, the tickets are already sold, packed, and Nepal yesterday got the best reception of all the teams joining the team hotel.
The BCCI has been supporting us, the ICC has been very supportive, and like I said, it's the Cricket World Cup. We just hope we grow as a cricket nation, and like I said, the global events will make a significant impact to where we're heading towards. It's an opportunity to showcase what we have, and our best wishes are with our national team.
Thank you so much, Paras. Thank you so much for sparing your time and your insight into you, your career, your professional cricket, your journey into administration. This episode of Declassified, we explored Paras Khadka, Nepali cricket, a journey into administration, and also we'd like to extend our best wishes to Nepali cricket team that is participating in its 3rd T20 World Cup. We all wish all the best to the team, and let's enjoy the performance irrespective of the results. Sometimes we become so much result oriented that we seek results. But as Paras said, cricket is not about overnight development. Cricket is not about overnight success. It takes a lot of time. It's a gradual process. Thank you so much for being part of this show. Until next time, from the entire team of Declassified, it's me, Devendra Subedi, saying bye-bye.
Japan has held snap elections with Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi hoping to turn a honeymoon start into a resounding ballot box victory. One main focus is whether the ruling coalition led by Prime Minister Takaichi can secure a majority in the lower house or whether the opposition will gain ground and prevent that from happening. There are 465 seats up for the grabs. The benchmark for the lower house's majority is 233. Markets and regional partners are also monitoring the vote for clues on the direction of economic reforms and security policy. Official results are expected later, with any coalition likely to shape Japan's political stability in the months ahead. Meanwhile, Japan has seen snow dumped on many regions, especially along the Sea of Japan's coast. An alert has been issued for several prefectures. Snow rarely accumulates in central Tokyo, but it is now under a blanket of white. In areas where heavy snow is expected, municipal governments may delay the opening of polling stations or close them earlier to ensure the safety of voters and officials. The Internal Affairs Ministry has urged people to maintain caution. Thailand today voted in an early election called after multiple coalition governments collapsed, giving the country 3 prime ministers in as many years. Just like in 2023, this election pits those advocating far-reaching change, the People's Party, against conservative forces led by incumbent Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul. When the young reformers won last time, the military-appointed Senate barred them from forming a government and the Constitutional Court dissolved the party. Prime Minister Anutin has played on patriotic sentiment after the 2 brief border fighting with Cambodia last year and promising to defend the status of traditional Thai institutions like the monarchy and military. The other contender is the Shinawatra family and its Pheu Thai party. Thailand's once dynamic economy has ground to a halt as political instability and the lack of structural changes worry foreign investors. Voters, meanwhile, are concerned about rising costs. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has reaffirmed Tehran's unwavering commitment to uranium enrichment, rejecting U.S. threats of military action and insisting that Iran will not be intimidated in ongoing nuclear negotiations. Speaking at a press conference during an international forum in Tehran, Araghchi said Iran will never give up its right to enrich uranium, describing it as a sovereign and non-negotiable aspect of the country's nuclear program. He accused the United States of lacking seriousness in efforts to resolve the current diplomatic impasse through negotiations, asserting that Tehran remains committed to dialogue but on terms that respect its national interests. The remarks come amid heightened tensions between Tehran and Washington following a series of sanctions targeting Iran's energy sector and financial networks. U.S. officials have repeatedly warned that military options remain on the table should Iran accelerate uranium enrichment beyond the limits previously agreed on a joint comprehensive plan of action, which Tehran partially suspended in 2019. Araghchi also highlighted what it described as inconsistencies in U.S. efforts, noting that while Washington publicly calls for negotiations, its unilateral sanctions and maximum pressure campaigns undermine the trust. The stand-up underscores the fragile state of U.S.-Iran relations with potential implications for regional security, global energy markets, and the future of non-proliferation efforts in the Middle East. Floodwaters surged through the Cordoba Straits of Spain, inundating low-lying riverside areas and forcing authorities to close the city's historic Roman bridge as heavy rain continued across parts of Andalusia. Emergency services raised alerts after the river rose rapidly following the days of persistent rainfall and submerging access roads along the riverbanks. Police cordoned off affected zones and urged residents to avoid flood-prone areas, while municipal crews monitored water levels and reinforced barriers at critical points. The flooding comes as southern Spain faces a new spell of severe weather, with regional meteorological agencies warning of continued heavy rain and strong winds across Andalusia. The conditions are a part of a wider storm system affecting the Iberian Peninsula, which has already brought disruption to neighboring Portugal, where Storm Marta battered coastal areas and caused flooding, power outages, and transport delays. No casualties were immediately reported in Cordoba, but officials say evacuations could not be ruled out if rainfall intensifies. Chinese scientists have discovered the core pathological brain network for Parkinson's disease, and direct medical intervention targeting this network in clinical studies has achieved positive outcomes. The findings made by a research team led by Professor Liu Hesing were published in the journal Nature on Thursday. According to China Parkinson's Disease Report 2025, more than 5 million people are living with Parkinson's disease in China, accounting for about 2/5 of the global patient population. Parkinson's disease has been a major global challenge for years. Clinical trial results show that after 2 weeks of treatment using the stimulator, the scan target group achieved a treatment efficacy rate of 55.5% compared to only 22.2% in the control group that targeted nearby brain areas. It's a moving day at the National History Museum in Paris as renovations begin in the Comparative Anatomy Gallery. More than 600 skeletons, skulls, and fossils are being carefully relocated, including massive samples like elephant skulls that have not been moved for over a century. The relocation process also provides curators and researchers an opportunity to inspect and document each sample, ensuring that conservation standards are maintained and that any necessary restoration can be carried out before the gallery opens. Museum officials noted that the renovation aims to modernize the exhibits, incorporate interactive elements, and enhance educational programming, allowing visitors to explore paleontology and comparative anatomy in a more engaging and scientifically up-to-date environment. Specialized teams of movers, conservationists, and scientists are coordinating to ensure that even the heaviest and most fragile fossils are transported without any damage, a process expected to take several weeks. Participants gave their best impressions of Puerto Rican superstar Bad Bunny at a lookalike contest in San Francisco ahead of this weekend's Super Bowl halftime show. The event drew more than 30 contestants from across the Bay Area competing for a $100 cash prize and bragging rights as the city's top Bad Bunny impersonator. Participants donned signature elements of the 31-year-old's style, from straw hats and aviator caps to aviator sunglasses and colorful shorts, replicating looks associated with Bad Bunny's music and persona. What was built as a small costume contest quickly morphed into a spontaneous street party with crowds dancing to a DJ spinning Bad Bunny's catalog and chanting the artist's name. The event reflects rising enthusiasm in the Bay Area for Bad Bunny's performance, which will mark one of the first times a predominantly Spanish-language artist headlines the NFL's marquee halftime show. The street party and lookalike contest are among several fan-oriented events leading up to the Super Bowl Sunday. After nearly 2 decades, Pakistan's iconic Basanta Kite Flying Festival has returned to Lahore under strict government regulation, drawing thousands of residents and visitors to the city's rooftops as colorful kites filled the sky. The 3-day event marks the first major celebration of the traditional spring festival since its ban in 2008, when hazardous kite strings and related accidents prompted authorities to ban kite flying across Punjab. The revival follows the passage of the Punjab Regulation of Kite Flying Ordinance 2025, which allows Basanta to be celebrated on a limited scale within Lahore under strict safety protocols. Officials have banned sharp strings and chemical-coated lines and mandated individual QR codes and kites and strings for traceability, while rooftops hosting large gatherings are required to register with local officials. Officials and participants expressed hope that this year's regulated Basanta Kite Flying Festival could become a sustainable tradition once again, provided compliance with safety rules to help prevent the accidents that led to the long-standing ban. Turkey has established a 95-member volunteer search and rescue team which completed an intensive 5-day training camp to prepare for extreme winter conditions. The team, which previously carried out assistance in rescue operations during major earthquakes, underwent specialized instruction in avalanche search and rescue, ice wall climbing, and casualty transport on skis with guidance from emergency units. Volunteers also received training in winter survival techniques, including igloo construction, navigation on snowy and icy terrain, and cold weather first aid, simulating conditions likely to be encountered in mountain and remote areas. The exercise tested the team's ability to operate under deep snow, sub-zero temperatures, and high-altitude conditions, aiming to enhance rapid response capabilities in natural disasters and harsh environments. Officials say the initiative underscores the commitment to community resilience and disaster preparedness, strengthening local and national search and rescue capacity ahead of winter emergencies. The 6th International Saharan Cultures Festival opened on Sunday, showcasing traditional dances, music and attire from dozens of ethno-linguistic groups across Chad and the Sahara region. Delegations from Burkina Faso, Mali, Morocco and Nigeria are participating, highlighting cross-border cultural exchange. Festival organizers say the event aims to provide and preserve Saharan heritage, strengthen regional ties, and provide a platform for young artists to present traditional and contemporary performances. The week-long festival features music concerts, craft exhibitions, and food shows, drawing both local residents and international visitors to celebrate the diversity of Saharan cultures. Officials stress the festival also serves as a tool for a cultural diplomacy, fostering dialogue among the nations while promoting tourism in eastern Chad. Security and health measures are reinforced to ensure the safety of attendees amid large crowds in the desert city. Officials say they hope the festival will also boost regional economic activity, benefiting local artisans, performers, and vendors through increased exposure and trade. The streets of Rio de Janeiro came alive over the weekend as the samba group Butano na Bureta staged a vibrant parade honoring Brazilian cinema, blending music, dance and theatrical performances in celebration of the country's film industry. The troupe, known for its colorful costumes and high-energy choreography, led a procession of revelers, musicians and local artists through the city's central neighborhoods, incorporating iconic imagery and references to notable Brazilian movies. Organizers say the event aimed to highlight the growing international recognition of Brazilian cinema and inspire national pride in the country's creative achievements. Amid a historic moment for a Brazilian movie for the second consecutive year, a Brazilian production has been nominated for the Oscar for Best Picture, with The Secret Agent representing the country on the global forum. Parade participants incorporated scenes and characters from the movie into their routines, creating a living homage to the contemporary Brazilian storytelling. The parade concluded with a street performance featuring movie clips projected onto large screens, accompanied by live samba, leaving audiences with a vivid reminder of Brazil's cinematic creativity and its growing footprint in international award circuits.
"45 minutes flight across 214 kilometers, we landed at the Simikot airport. It was a great relief to land in Simikot for us, who had spent few days in hot Nepalganj. The cool breeze welcomed us to our great expectations. According to locals, Simikot got its name with the combination of Simi and Kot. Indeed, it is the combination of Sim, meaning wetland, and Kot, meaning green meadow. Simikot is a major point for pilgrims traveling to Mount Kailas and Mansarovar in Tibet via Hilsa. This is the easiest way to the Mansarovar, and thus many Indian pilgrims are seen here.
मेन त यो हुम्ला सिमीकोट चाहिँ तपाईको अब भनौं न अब कैलाश मानसरोवरकै गेटवे भएकोले एउटा यहाँ आउने भयो। अब हामीले पनि अब भनौं न तपाईको हुम्ला सिमीकोट चाहिँ अब तपाईको यो सदरमुकाम हो, मेन ल्यान्डिङ पोइन्ट हो हैन। अब यहाँबाट तपाईको पर्यटकहरुलाई जस्तै हाम्रो यहाँ रलिङ गुम्बाहरु छ, खारबुनाथ मन्दिरहरु छ हैन। जस्तै यहाँ तपाईको एकदम के भन्छ प्राकृतिक सुन्दरताहरु हेर्ने ठाउँहरु थुप्रै छ। किनभने हामीले त्यो ठाउँहरुलाई चाहिँ फोकस गर्न नसकेर बाहिर ल्याउन नसकेर मात्र हो। ल्याउन सक्यो भने पर्यटनहरु आवश्यक नै बढी मात्रामा बढ्छ भन्ने आशा छ।
We arrived Simikot with a throng of travelers to Humla, comprising some domestic and foreign tourists. Soon our team became a cozy group of travelers.
We travelled together to Limi of Namkha, among the 7 rural municipalities of the district: Semikot, Namkha, Kharpunath, Changkheli, Sarkegard, Adnacholi and Tanjakot. The jeep ride in the gravel road is some kind of experience in this majestic terrain. However, we were disturbed by the landslides at various places of the rural road and left to travel on foot. We arrived at Chaudan Foya after a few hours of walk, but our overnight stay was still a few hours trek to Dharapuri. We stopped at many places on our way just to capture the natural beauty of the place and feel the magic in the air. These hills and the spontaneous Karnali river kept inspiring us. And on the way we see many stories of hope, determination and struggle of the locals. It was almost dusk, but our destination was still at some distance. So we increased our pace along with the local children accompanying us. We are thankful to these kids, without whom we would not have been able to know some of the very well-known places on the way. Almost 8:30 in the evening, we were still struggling to find the house where we were supposed to spend the night. Now our team was no more intact, as all had their own arrangements in small groups. We had no option but to find a place to rest for the night. We were overwhelmed by the humility and warmth of the local people. They offered a bunch of unknown travelers food and accommodation with open heart. This reminded us of the slogan, "Guest is God," in real terms. Not the most affluent of the societies, but very welcoming at heart. In need, but have the humility. Poverty-ridden, but full of humanity. We salute the rural folks who mess around the year in this inhospitable terrain for survival. The next morning, we all get together. Our next destination was Kermi. The whistling sound of Karnali flowing down somewhere, the rocky hills and the small trails like ropes attached in these hills. Risky and dangerous. Not the best of conditions for trekking, but that's where the thrill is. That's where the adventure is. The waterfalls and ponds on the way relieve us from our fatigue instantly. Chachara is one of the biggest waterfalls in this place. The soothing touch of the crystal clear water of the fall is refreshing. Our lunch was at Dade Kermi, where small tents were set up by the locals to serve food and some rest for travelers. The Chinese stoves used here are smokeless and must have eased the life of the rural folks to a larger extent. We had seen these types of stoves in Dharapuri as well. Before starting another long day of trek after lunch, we had a little rest here. Our journey to Limi is still a long way to finish. We also did not get any chance of hitchhiking as no vehicle was plying on the road due to landslide obstructions. Our journey was getting arduous by the hour, but we did not miss the chance to enjoy the natural wonder of the region. Agriculture and cattle are the main profession of the people here. People raise yaks in this rugged terrain, though they have to migrate in winter to find better grazing land locally called kharka for their prized possessions. We found herds of yaks at different places on the way. We even stopped at one of these grazing camps for a cup of tea. This place is called Lashin. The tea served here is special with ghee and salt added for extra energy in the cold temperature. No wonder some of us were enjoying this tea for the first time. To our great relief, we got the news that a goods-laden truck was heading towards Limi from Tibet of China. However, we still had some distance to cover to catch the truck. We all wanted to rush with the hope to reach there in time to get a lift. At the moment, we are at Chanso, where there is not enough place for our jumbo team to spend the night. Finally, we decided to spend the night in Chanso itself, as the way ahead was more difficult and riskier. Two families had set up their yak camps here and living in two tents. Our big team had to divide and accommodate in these two tents for the night. We squeezed in for the night anyhow. It's a beautiful morning with bright blue sky, surrounded by tall hills, waterfalls and the whistling Karnali. It was nothing less than a piece of heaven on earth. We mingled with the locals for some times.
गाह्रै छ पानी पनि यहाँ समस्या छ दाउरा पनि समस्या छ यहाँ गाह्रै छ गाह्रो त यस पुल पनि समस्या छ यहाँ नराम्रो ठाउँमा बसेको छ यहाँ चिसो ठाउँमा यस्तो समस्या छ नि
यहाँ हामीसँग धेरै चुनौतीहरू पनि छ जस्तै एक्सेसको कुरा गर्ने हो भने रोड राम्रो बनिसकेको छैन अनि त्यसपछि तपाईको सञ्चारहरू छैन बाटोमा टी सपहरू छैन त्यसपछि त्यही अनुसार जस्तै टुरिज्म व्यवसायको लागि चाहिएको तपाईको के भन्छ यो के रे ह्युमन रिसोर्सहरू पनि राम्रोसँग दक्ष छैन हैन
We had to climb up to the altitude of 4,800 meters to reach Limi. We decided to travel on horses as we were too tired to walk now. We managed horses for our team and set out on our way. We stopped at a beautiful natural pond, locally known as Selima. No one has dared to measure the depth of this pond till date. No one is aware of the mathematics of this ancient natural lake. We also moved ahead with the enthusiasm as to why. No one knows it. 2 hours on the horseback, we arrive at Nyalul Langna at an altitude of 4,800 meters above sea level. Surrounded by white mountains and hills, we found 2 Chinese trucks ready to leave for Limi. It took some effort to climb onto these huge carriers. Around 100 people had boarded on each truck. The local people were also waiting for the truck to depart like we were. The gravelled road and overloaded trucks. The ride was not very comfortable, but we did not have much option either to move ahead. After around 5 hours rough ride, we arrived at Halji village of Limi. Three villages, Tili, Halji and Jang, were collectively called Limi. It was almost evening by the time we reached Halji. The sight of Karnali snaking between the hills, symmetrical houses, green meadows, and the hearty welcome of the locals relieved of our fatigue. Cattle, farming and trade were the main profession of the denizens of Halji. Yak, growing uwa, a special grain used in making liquor, and traveling to and from Taklakut via Hilsa for trade is part of their life for the locals. Despite the beauty of this magical land, it's far away from tourism. Hardly 50 tourists from outside set their foot on this area every year. The millennium-old Halji monastery, built by Locha Warinche Samo, is the pride of this place. Monk Samo had built this monastery as the last of his 108 structures around the world. Monk Samo is believed to have died while constructing this monastery. The ancient heritage, at the risk of landslide, awaits preservation and promotion.
दायाँको त्यहाँ पहिरोको डर छ यहाँ हैन त्यहाँ बायाँको त्यही डोरीको दुख छ प्रत्येक ढुङ्गाको धेरै दुख छ बिचमा खानु पाउनको पेटको दुख छ यहाँ धेरै आवश्यक छ त्यो चाहिँ यहाँ गुम्बा विधानमा त्यही सबै ती पुरानो लिङ्ग मूर्तिकुटी माटोमा लिगेर ती बिग्री जान्छ
We had the opportunity to see the local culture and lifestyle during our trek in Limi. What impressed us the most was the dress, including local bakhu, sonba, chino and quinoa bread. Mount Kailas and the Man Sarovar in China are clearly visible from Lapcha of Limi. 7 to 8 hours of truck ride from Halji, we can reach there. We were very much eager to see the Man Sarovar and Mount Kailas, so we went to Limi. But to our bad luck, the weather did not help us. We waited for some time for the weather to clear, but there was no sign whatsoever, and we returned disappointed. Had the weather been kind, this was the sight we would have been able to see. Our journey to Limi thus ended on a sad note. We head back to Simikot and Nepalganj and finally to Kathmandu. Back in Kathmandu, every scene and sight we saw on the way is coming back in flashback. Being in this place itself is a treat to the eyes and mind. You forget all the fatigue and physical pain once you reach in this oasis. Undoubtedly, Humla, bordering Mugu, Bajura, Bazan and China towards the north, is a piece of heaven on earth.
In the high mountains, where the air thins and silence deepens, an ancient discipline endures. More than art, this is meditation in motion. A prayer woven into canvas, finding the divine within. This is Thangka.
Thangka भने चाहिँ त्यो समतल भूमि भने हो के हैन त्यो स्पेस भने हो त्यो रेसेमा पनि तपाईले सेतो गडमा स्पेस देख्यो हैन हो त्यसमा चाहिँ का लेख्ने भने चाहिँ बुद्धको वचन लेख्ने भने हो के त्यो बुद्धको वचन बागल चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ शुद्ध छ हैन राम्रो छ त्यसले चाहिँ मानव जीवनलाई चाहिँ कल्याण मानव जीवनलाई मात्र नभएर प्राणी जगतलाई नै चाहिँ कल्याण गर्ने चिज हो थाङ्गा त्यही भएर चाहिँ जीवन जिउनेसँग चाहिँ रिलेटेड छ भनेर भने हो त्यो चाहिँ पञ्चतत्त्वको रूपमा चाहिँ त्यो चिनाएर त्यो तत्त्वलाई त्यो ठाउँमा जानुपर्छ भनेरको यो त आशयको रूपमा चाहिँ लगेको हुन्छ
Thangka painting is more than art. It's devotion on canvas, rooted in Buddha philosophy, traditions, and shaped by centuries of Buddhist influence. Each stroke tells a story of enlightenment.
This is not from painter's own mind. This is from the book. So painters, they have to strictly follow the rules. Through meditation, we can understand our true nature. And when we understand our true nature, we understand everybody. And our true nature is compassion. Our true nature is wisdom. And when we practice these things, we find peace, and that peace is permanent.
Thangka painting is not merely creation. It is consecration, rooted in Buddhist philosophy and perfected through centuries. Each brushstroke carries the weight of a mantra, each color a fragment of enlightenment.
खाइबो भन्छ हामीले चाहिँ आर्टिस्टलाई त्यो खाइवाले चाहिँ किन आएर चाहिँ ढोग्यो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ तीनचोटी ढोग्यो त्यो शरण गमन गरे हो कि म बुद्धको शरणमा छु भन्ने हो त्यो चाहिँ बुद्ध चित्त उत्पाद गर्ने भन्छ कि चित्त तपाईको शुद्ध हुनु पर्यो हैन त्यो शुद्ध भएर लेखेको थाङ्गाले चाहिँ अरूलाई पनि राम्रो गर्ने पनि सबै प्राणी हितको लागि चाहिँ यो मैले गरेको लेखेको बुद्ध वचनले चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ राम्रो होस् भन्ने आशयका साथ चाहिँ छोड्नु पर्छ कि हो यसरी चाहिँ लेखेको हुन्छ थाङ्गा चाहिँ
The Thangka is a visual sculpture, a spiritual map to transcendence. Every artist begins not with imagination, but with surrender to discipline, devotion, and compassion for all living beings. To paint is to meditate. To complete is to awaken. In today's studios, the old and the new converge. Tutors like Sushan Subedi introduce curious travelers to ancient grammar of lines and color.
All of the painting you are seeing over here, so these are known as Thangka, which is a Tibetan word which means the painting that is painted on a cotton surface. Okay, so first of all what we do is, we just take a normal cotton like this and we stretch it on a wooden frame very hardly and very tightly. Okay, so while tying it very hard on normal cotton, what happens is there are some millions of tiny holes. So if you pour the color can bleed. So we cannot do the painting on a normal cotton. So we have a process, we call it the process of canvas.
While at nearby workshops, artists like Sonam still lose themselves in the ritual of creation.
यो चाहिँ बम्बई ड्याङ कटन जुन यसैबाट चाहिँ हाम्रो ट्रेडिसनल आर्टको चाहिँ थाङ्का फर्स्ट प्रोसेसिङ चाहिँ यहीँबाट हुन्छ सरेस भन्ने गरिन्छ हामीले यो चाहिँ खासमा र याक स्किन भनेर चाहिँ प्रयोग गरिन्छ पहिलेको त्यो हिस्ट्री हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अनि अब यो चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ माध्यम चाहिँ यो ग्लुको काम गर्छ यसले चाहिँ यो र हामीले चाहिँ माटो मिसाएर चाहिँ यसमा पानी लगाएर अब यसको कति मात्रा गरेर तताइसकेपछि चाहिँ अनि अब हामीले कत्रो क्यानभस बनाउने कतिवटा बनाउने त्यो हिसाबले हामीले यो सरेस माटो भनेको त्यो मिलाएर मात्रा मिलाएर हामीले प्रोसेसिङमा जानु सकिन्छ। हामीले चाहिँ यो क्यानभस बनाउँदाखेरि समयअनुसार मौसमअनुसारले पनि बनाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ। घाम लाग्ने बेलामा बनाउनु सक्यो भने हामीले छिटो आफ्नो कामहरू छिटो छरिदो बनाउन सकिन्छ र झरी पर्ने बेलामा चाहिँ हामीलाई निकै समय लाग्छ। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि यो घाम लाग्ने बेलामा हामीले बनाउनु सक्यौँ भने छिटो अनि यसलाई आफूलाई चाहिने मात्रामा पटक पटक यता दुई साइडमा चाहिँ क्लिन गर्नु सफा गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ अनि कतिको मात्रा हामीलाई चाहिन्छ त्यो पुगिसकेपछि हामीले त्यसपछि स्केचमा जानुपर्ने हुन्छ। यो सुकिसकेपछि चाहिँ एउटा यसरी पनि हामीले चेक गर्न सकिन्छ हामीले कतिको तयारी भयो भएन। यो आवाज आउनुपर्ने हुन्छ जस्तै अब ओसिएको छ भने बेग्लै आवाज आउँछ, सुकेको छ भने राम्रो आवाज आउँछ। यो
Thangka painting begins with the canvas stretched tight, once upon wood, now upon iron frames. The glue that seals it, once drawn from the yak, now sourced from the maple or synthesized in a lab. Yet in the scent of drying paste, the artist still reads the readiness of the soul of the painting.
So after the sketching is done, second thing we do is the coloring. So while coloring, we have different levels of artists in our school. Like from the beginner level, we have intermediate and the master level of artists. So if you go with the beginner intermediate, they use the acrylic colors. But if you go with the master level of artists, so they use the stone colors like this. Okay, so why they use the stone color is stone being a natural color. So while we apply this sort of color in the art, it remains for the longer period of time because natural thing, it doesn't have expiry date. Yeah, so the meaning and the philosophy of an art, the art itself, it is preserved for the longer period of time. So that's why they use the stone. And for the finishing of an art, so we use 24 karat real gold on the painting. Okay, so why we use the gold is not to make the painting very expensive, but if you see in Hinduism, in Buddhism, gold it is signified as in purity. So to purify the meaning and the philosophy behind the art, so we use 24 karat real gold.
Every line follows a rule, every proportion holds meaning. The face of the deity isn't imagined, it slowly reveals itself, guided by sacred patterns that keep harmony between the world outside and the spirit within. The colors come from the earth, crushed stones and minerals mixed with glue, made to last for generations. Lapis brings purity, malachite speaks of compassion, and cinnabar carries wisdom. These are just colors, they are prayers in pigment.
प्राचीन कालमा चाहिँ यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ पाँचवटा कलर लेख्ने हो। पाँच कलर जस्तो अग्नि तत्त्व, वायु तत्त्व, माटो तत्त्व, हावा तत्त्व, पाँच तत्त्वले बनाएको हो। त्यो पाँच तत्त्वले किन बनाएको भने त्यो पाँच तत्त्वबाट हाम्रो शरीर बनाएको छ नि। यो थाङ्गा भनेको चाहिँ वास्तवमा के हो भने जे जति थाङ्गामा छ त्यो हामीसँगै छ, जे हामीसँग चाहिँ थाङ्गामै छ। त्यसकारण त्यो बेला चाहिँ त्यो नेचुरल, हाम्रो पनि नेचुरली बनाएको हो नि त, प्रकृतिले बनाएको नि। थाङ्गा पनि प्रकृति नै हो। त्यसमा अलिक अहिले चाहिँ कलर के छ भने पाँचवटा कलरमा हामीले मिसाउँदाखेरि अर्को कलर बन्छ। त्यो पाँचवटा कलर मात्रै पुग्दैन। त्यो बेला त्यो रियालिटी थाङ्गाबाट नजिक बसेर साधना गर्दा हामीलाई त्यो भाइब्रेसन आउँछ, पोजिटिभ कुरा आउँछ। यो त खालि बुद्धले टिकाको टिचिङ गर्नुभएको नेचुरल फेनोमेना छ नि, नेचर माइन्ड छ नि, त्योसँग रिलेटेड छ यो।
Home Bahadur Tamang, a gifted Thanka artist from the spiritual heart of Buddha, has turned his craft into a global bridge between tradition and business.
Thanka चाहिँ मैले 1970 सिक्न सुरुवात गरेको मेरो टिचर चाहिँ म भन्दा अघिल्लो मेरो दाइ हो साइला दाइ मेरो चाहिँ बाउपादेखि नै कलाकार हुनुहुन्थ्यो पाटन भक्तपुर छामेल दरबार स्क्वायरमा यसै पसल बेच्ने काम हुन्थ्यो अनि त्यो बेच्दा मैले यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ विदेशीले किन्दो रहेछ आफैले विदेशसँग बेच्नुपर्छ भन्ने अलिकति मनमा मलाई अलिकति सोच आयो त्यसपछि मैले 2050 सालमा यहाँ सुरु गरेँ आजभन्दा 32 वर्ष अगाडि
What began as a young artist's journey through the streets of Kathmandu has blossomed into a thriving enterprise where sacred art meets business and tourism. With every brushstroke, home brings Nepal's rich spiritual heritage to the world, transforming Thanka painting into a symbol of cultural fusion.
त्यो बेला चाहिँ पसल कोही पनि यहाँ थिएन किनभने त्यो मार्केटले चाहिँ कहाँ मार्केट हुन्छ भन्ने खोज्दो रहेछ त्यो खोज्ने क्रममा म यहाँ आइपुग्यो विदेशीहरू पनि यहाँ त्यति अहिले जस्तो बस्दैन 5 मिनेट 10 मिनेटमा घुमेर जानुहुन्थ्यो त्यतिखेर खाने रेस्टुरेन्ट पनि एकजना मात्रै थियो एउटा मात्रै थियो अहिले चाहिँ होस् त्यो बेला र अहिलेमा धेरै आकाश जमिनको फरक भएको छ
His story is one of passion, innovation, and a deep commitment to preserving tradition while embracing the future.
विशेष गरी यो बौद्ध स्तूपसँग रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धको शिक्षासँग रिलेटेड यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ संसारको मानिसहरू यो स्तूपलाई घुम्ने क्रममा यो प्रार्थना गर्ने मेन आउन ठाउँ चाहिँ यो रहेछ त्यसो भएको हुनाले यो चाहिँ विशेष गरी ओल्ड हेरिटेज साइटमा चाहिँ त्यो पनि के हो बुद्धिस्टको भएको हुनाले चाहिँ नेपालभरि कुनै थाङ्का बिक्ने ठाउँ चाहिँ अति महत्त्वपूर्ण चाहिँ यो नै हो वास्तवमा किनभने रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धसँग
From the hills of Ramechhap to the heart of Buddha, Home Bahadur Damang has a glorious story to tell. A story of will, determination, struggle, and success.
म आफै पनि रामसाप दुर्गम जिल्लामा जन्मेको चाहिँ रोजगार छैन त्यहाँ स्कुल छैन कलेज छैन अस्पताल छैन रोजगार छैन त्यसपछि म पनि रोजगारकै क्रममा यहाँ आएर मैले सुरुवात गर्यो अहिले चाहिँ म लगभग 49 वर्ष भयो यही पेशा गरेर दाल भात खाएको अब नयाँ पुस्तालाई पनि मैले हस्तान्तरण गर्नुपर्छ है भन्ने मेरो एउटा उद्देश्यले चाहिँ अहिले मैले नयाँ पुस्तालाई चाहिँ गाउँबाट आउनुहुन्छ स्कुल सकेर अनि बिहान चाहिँ कलेज जानुहुन्छ दिउँसो काम छैन त्यसकारणले मैले 3 महिना फ्री ट्रेनिङ दिने गरेछ उहाँको स्किल अन्त टेस्ट गरेर हामीले यही तलब दिएर जस्तो बिहान कलेज पनि भ्यायो उसो कति हो त्यसो त्यहाँबाट एक्स्ट्रा टाइम चाहिँ 5 घण्टा 6 घण्टा 7 घण्टा मैले पनि यहाँ जीवन चलाउने चाहिँ काम भइरहेछ अहिले
For 49 years, he painted, taught, and empowered young artisans. Today, his school preserves tradition and creates futures.
हामीले यहाँ सुरुमा इन्टरभ्यु लिन्छु त्यसपछि एक हप्ता चाहिँ नि सानो क्यानभासमा हात ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु त्यसको शरीरको बडीहरू अलिकति ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु अनि एक हप्तापछि ओके भनेर ओके या यस भने कोही मानिस नसक्ने चाहिँ नि आधा घण्टामा 1 घण्टामा उठेर गइहाल्छ म सक्दैन ढाड दुख्यो किन उसको मन धेरै भएर गयो त्यो सक्दैन उ आउँदैन एक दिन पनि आउँदैन मात्रै आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो हामीले अपाङ्गलाई पनि सिकाएको छ जस्तो बाहिर कान नसुन्ने पनि सिकाएको छ आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो त्यस्तै हो
As interest in Buddhism grows worldwide, so does the appreciation for our sacred art. Foreigners now come not just to admire but to learn, studying our architecture techniques and meditative Thanka traditions, giving new life to what was once known only within our borders.
बुद्धिज्म नेपाल हो नेपालमा जति छन् विश्वसम्पादकमा सूचीमा भएको मठ मन्दिर गुम्बद छ यसैबाट उहाँले पनि सिकेको वास्तवमा यो जुन बौद्ध स्तूपरा भनौँ लुम्बिनी त्यो जस्तो उहाँहरूले बनाउन सक्दैन तर यसको चाहिँ एकदम महत्त्वपूर्ण के छ भगवान या चाहिँ दोस्रो तेस्रो बुद्धको रिलेटिभ यहाँ छ जति चाहिँ अहिले संसारमा यो बुद्धिज्म फैलिँदै जान्छ यो महायान बुद्धिज्म त्यतिकै ठाङ्गको भ्यालु चाहिँ बढ्दैछ अहिले जस्तो मेरै कुरा मैले 40-45 वर्ष यति ठाङ्गको महत्त्व थिएन किनभने वर्ल्ड वाइडमा बुद्धि समस्या थिएन, विदेशहरूले जानेकै थिएन। उनीहरूले त्यो सुरसुर आउँदाखेरि सानो तिनी एउटा नेपाल आउँदाखेरि सुपर नेट किन नलैजाऊ भन्ने मात्रै लाइन थियो। अहिले चाहिँ उहाँहरू चाहिँ जस्तो अमेरिका, युरोप, तपाईँको यो सिङ्गापुर, ताइवान, मलेसिया विभिन्न देशमा चाहिँ अहिले बुद्धिस्ट प्र्याक्टिसनर धेरै उहाँहरू चाहिँ गर्नुहुन्छ। त्यसको लागि चाहिँ एकदमै महत्त्वपूर्ण छ। त्यस कारणले भविष्यमा यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ छ, यसको मार्केट छ।
As an artist, entrepreneur, and a master, he feels fulfilled, creating beauty, guiding others, and living with purpose.
मैले संसार जीवन जगतलाई थाहा पायो। अहिले हामी सांसारिक जीवन छ, सांसारिक जीवनमा कसरी जिउने र अर्कोलाई पनि कसरी जिउन दिने कला थाहा पायो। त्यसपछि अब जुन देशमा जन्मे पनि, जुन कुलमा जन्मे पनि 100% निश्चित के हो भने मृत्यु छ। त्यो त निश्चित हो नि, एउटै निश्चित छैन, कहिले पनि निश्चित छैन। तर त्यो मर्नेमा म कसरी मर्ने भन्ने कला पनि थाहा पाएँ मैले। मलाई त धेरै परिवर्तन भएको छ। मैले परिवर्तन भयो भने के हुन्छ, मैले ठुलो पचेरो चढ्यो, ठुलो गाडी त्यस्तो होइन, तर मलाई खुसी छु। सादा दाल भात खान पाएछ, मैले परिवार पाल्नु पाएछ। यही थाङ्गाले म जापान घुम्यो, युरोप गयो, चाइना घुम्यो, बुद्धिस्ट कन्ट्री सबै घुमेको छ। सबै ठाउँमा मैले घुम्नलाई मलाई पैसा आपत पनि परेन। थाङ्गा सँगसँगै लाँदै ब्रिफिङ गर्दै बेच्दै दर्शन बेचेको हो। त्यस कारण मलाई त एकदम खुसी छु म त पनि।
Then comes the awakening, the eyes. Until that moment, the thanga is silent. When the artist paints the peoples, the deity is invited to reside within. The canvas breathes, the prayer begins. From quiet Himalayan ateliers to the galleries in Tokyo, Berlin, and New York, thangas now travel far beyond the monasteries. They adorn homes, museums, and collectors' walls, a global symbol of Nepal's artistic devotion.
Mostly, Thanga word itself is a Tibetan word, so this tradition belongs to Tibetan people. This tradition belongs to Tamang. This tradition belongs to Newar community. Although they have different expression of color, technique, the detail, but this tradition, this culture belongs to these three community, and this is kind of passed on tradition. They learn this skill from their forefather to the new generation. This is how this tradition has been continuing and preserving. So it is beneficial for them to live their life, and it is beneficial for the country because this is a culture, and culture and tradition is the treasure of each country.
The trade sustains thousands. From the hum of Bodha's alleys to export crates bound for distant lands, Thanga has become a vital thread in Nepal's creative economy. Yet, as markets grow, so does the tension between faith and fame, between meditation and merchandise.
कला चाहिँ दुवै राम्रै हो हैन, आफ्नो आफ्नै फिलोसफी भन्ने हो। यसले चाहिँ तपाईको मन भित्रको डेप्थमा जाने सिकाउने हो। यसमा चाहिँ यो चाहिँ मिहिन काम हुन्छ, कठिन पनि हुन्छ के, किनभने यसमा चाहिँ तपाईले चाहिँ अघिको जस्तो धेरै चीजहरु चाहिँ लिनुपर्छ, अनुशासन लिनु पर्यो हैन, यसको विधि विधानमा बसेर गर्नुपर्छ। यसमा चाहिँ अब त्यो चाहिँ तपाईको मनमा जुन फिलिङ्स आउँछ त्यो लेखिहाल्ने हो के। त्यो गर्दाखेरि त्यसले पनि वर्ल्डमा चलिरहेछ यसले चाहिँ नेपालले किन त्यो अब त्यसलाई चाहिँ कम्पिटिसन गर्न सक्छ भने चाहिँ यो चिज चाहिँ अरूले गर्न सक्दैन किनभने त्यसमा मेडिटेसन ध्यान जस्तै गर्नुपर्छ कि सरकारी स्कुलबाट चाहिँ स्कुलिङदेखि नै गर्नुपर्छ यसको पाठ्यक्रमहरू बनाउनु पर्छ हैन एउटा त्यो गरिसकेपछि यसको प्रमोट हुन्छ हैन हामीलाई चाहिने त त्यो प्रवर्धन हो नि तर ब्याङ्किङहरूले पनि के गर्नु पर्यो भने यसलाई चाहिँ बिना दिदोमा पनि के अरे ऋण दिने वातावरण हैन कलाकारको के छुट्याएर कि अनि तपाईँको हामीले ट्याक्स तिर्नुपर्छ ट्याक्स तिर्दाखेरि पनि कुनै एउटा चिज चाहिँ कलाकारलाई कुन ओदामा राखेर त्यसको एउटा ब्यालेन्स एउटा गरेर सरकारले गरिदियो भने यसको झन् अझ फ्रस्टिन्छ कि फ्रस्टिएपछि त यो नेपालकै लागि चाहिँ यसले चाहिँ पर्यटनलाई पनि विकास हुने अनि त्यो स्कुल कलेजमा भयो भने पुस्ता हस्तान्तरण चाहिँ एकदम दिगो हुन्छ कि
All the Thanka has same meaning of peace. So foreigner, they admire philosophy. Practitioner also, they choose deities mostly to practice, to visualize, and they imagine the quality of deities with themselves. And some least person, they want it as a souvenir to decorate for the positive vibe. Some they buy it for the gift for their loved one. Philosophy reminds us about the beautiful quality, and that quality gives us peace, and that peace is everyone searching for. So Thanka painting is very, very important for everyone because it is relevant with our life. If it is relevant with our life, that is truth.
But beyond commerce and canvas, a Thanka is still a mirror reflecting a way of life where art and spirit breathe as one. Every brush that moves today carries the echo of generations, an unbroken whisper from monastery walls to the modern world. As the sun sets over the Himalayas, somewhere an artist bows before a finished Thanka. His work is now complete, his prayer released. For in every stroke lies a journey from pigment to prayer, from devotion to eternity. This is not just Nepal's art, it is Nepal's soul, painted into time. England survived late Nepal's scare to win by 4 runs in dramatic T20 World Cup opener in Mumbai. Kathmandu Valley air quality reaches unhealthy levels, ranked 7th among the most polluted city globally. High-level commission nears completion of report on human and physical losses during the Gen Z movement in Nepal.
Nepal divides 165 constituencies into 5 categories, establishes clear spending ceilings for fair election process. President Paudel highlights inclusive governance and indigenous heritage as Nepal faces threats to cultural traditions. And Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi rules out giving up uranium enrichment amid renewal indirect talks with Washington. Good evening, I'm Suveksha Rajak and you're watching NTV World News Hour, coming up to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now, the news in details. England have narrowly avoided a major upset at the ICC Men's T20 World Cup, edging past and inspired Nepal by just 4 runs in the opening match in Mumbai. Chasing 185, Nepal stayed in contention until the final ball, needing 6 to win, but England's Sam Curran successfully defended 10 runs in the last over. Lokesh Bam, who top scored with an unbeaten 39 off 20 balls, could manage only a single at the end. Nepal put England under pressure throughout the match, particularly in the closing overs, before England held their nerve. The defending champions now move on to face West Indies in their next group match at the same venue. Further into this in our Issue of the Day segment later in the bulletin. Now, air quality in Nepal's capital have deteriorated sharply today, with the Kathmandu Valley recording an air quality index of 175 this afternoon, placing it in the unhealthy category. According to the AQI, Kathmandu ranks 7th among the world's most polluted cities today, while Cairo leads with 273. Officials attribute the worsening conditions to dry weather, industrial activity and ongoing construction, with further deterioration like until rainfall occurs. Experts say an AQI between 151 and 200 is considered unhealthy, with higher levels posing serious risk. Under current regulations, an AQI above 300 is classified as a disaster, prompting calls for more environment-friendly development practices to protect public health. Now, the high-level investigative commission probing human casualties and damages during the Gen Z movement in Nepal has entered the final stages of its report. The government has extended the submission deadline twice, and with just 5 days remaining, the commission says it is on track to submit its finding on time. Officials report that 90% of the work has been completed, including questioning over 200 individuals, ranging from former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli and top security officials to eyewitnesses and local authorities. The Commission has also conducted on-site evidence collection across multiple locations. Formed in October 2025 under the leadership of former Special Court Chair Gauri Bahadur Karki, the 3-member panel is tasked with submitting the report to the government by 13th of February. The government has emphasized that no further extensions will be granted. Now, for the March 5 House of Representatives election, Nepal's Election Commission has tightened screws on spending of parties and candidates. Financial transparency and regulated expenditure underscore EC's effort to strengthen democratic processes and ensure that money power doesn't overshadow political competition. Amid winds of change central to the March 5 election, the financial scrutiny is likely to shape both how parties plan their campaigns and how voters perceive the conduct of political actors. Sabika Shrestha explores the financial limits and spending. Here, Sabika Shrestha explores the financial limits and spendings. Now, indigenous knowledge, skills and traditional cultural practices in Nepal are increasingly at risk of disappearing due to urbanization, modern lifestyles and limited state protection. Languages, traditional attire, ethnic dances, songs and festivals passed down through generations are struggling to reach younger communities. Experts say oral traditions must now be documented through writing, audiovisual media and other methods to ensure their survival. More on this in our cover story tonight. Now we have Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi ruled out Tehran ever giving up uranium enrichment in its negotiations with Washington, insisting it will not be intimidated by the threat of war with the United States. Araghchi made the remarks at a forum in Tehran, saying Iran is closely monitoring the situation, accessing all the signals, and will decide whether to continue talks after Washington and Tehran reopened indirect negotiations in Oman last week.
مقدار اصرار بر غنی‌سازی کردیم و می‌کنیم و حاضر نیستیم ازش بگذریم ولو اینکه جنگ به ما تحمیل بشه. چون کسی حق نداره به ما بگه که چه باید داشته باشیم و چه نباید داشته باشیم. الان هم آرایش نظامی اونها در منطقه ما را نمی‌ترساند. ما اهل دیپلماسی هستیم، اهل جنگ هم هستیم. اهل جنگ هستیم نه اینکه دنبال جنگ هستیم. اتفاقا اهل جنگیم، آماده جنگیم برای اینکه کسی جرئت نکند با ما بجنگد.
Now Nepal fell just 4 runs short against England, with the match decided in the final overs by 2 Currans, Nepal's Karan Casey and England's Sam Curran. Tonight on Issue of the Day, let's break down what we went wrong at the finish and why Nepal's performance still turned headaches at T20 World Cup. More news coming up. Let's take a short break now. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Now, the difference between Nepal and victory today were the last overs bowled by 2 Currans, one our very own Karan Casey and the other England's former T20 skipper Sam Curran. The 4-run defeat becomes more painful if you compare the 2 last overs. Karan Casey conceding 21 and Sam Curran defending 10. Despite the heartbreak, it was Nepal that earned all the praises and put England under pressure throughout the match at the Wankhede Stadium. Devendra Swedi breaks down Nepal's another close defeat at the World Cup.
The difference between Nepal and victory in the first match of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026 against England was the story of 2 Currans. Karan Casey, who bowled the last over for Nepal in the English inning, conceding 21 runs and 1 wicket. England was 163 for the loss of 6 wickets. At that stage, when skipper Rohit Paudel had a choice between Karan and Deependra Airi. Rohit picked Karan, who often has been tasked with the burden of finishing Nepali bowling. 2 excellent overs earlier by Casey might have prompted Rohit to choose him over Airi, who against Will Jacks in ominous striking form would have been a bigger gamble. To break down Karan's over, first ball went for a couple followed by back-to-back sixes. Fourth ball went for a single. Fifth ball, Jofra Archer gave away his wicket to give Jacks strike on the last ball, which he hit for a 6. Overall, Karan bowled full balls except for 2 length balls in the last over. Back to English last over, much difficult one compared the similar striking presence of Lokesh Bum, who was unbeaten on 35 runs in 15 balls, and Nepal needed just 10 runs to win. Sam Curran, known for his variations and cutters, delivered when England needed the most, in fact saving what could have been a major upset of the tournament. Curran took the ball when Nepal was 175 runs for the loss of 6 wickets, comparatively in a better situation than England was. To break down Curran's last over, first ball was a dot, followed by 2 singles in the next 2 balls, a couple in the 4th, interestingly Curran Casey rejecting a single on the 5th delivery. This left the burden of entire Nepal on the shoulder of Lokesh Bum, who had to hit 6 to win. Even a 4 would have meant nothing. Curran used all his experience, slowing the pace of the game throughout the last over, and finally delivered the most important ball of the match with a single. Despite the last overs in both innings making the difference, it was England that was under pressure throughout the 40 overs at the Wankhede Stadium, where Nepal fans in numbers backed the Rhinos. It is indeed great to see some of the game's greats, including Dale Steyn, offering his free services to Nepal after witnessing yet another close loss.
Despite the defeat, Nepal's performance at the Wankhede Stadium has earned widespread praise for putting a full member side under sustained pressure. To get an expert perspective on what Nepal did right and what lies ahead in the tournament, we are joined by Sabha Nayakan, senior sports journalist from India. Mr. Nayakan, welcome to News Hour.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, coming up straight to the point, Sabha, as a seasoned sports journalist, how do you analyze Nepal's performance against England?
Well, today's display by the Nepal team in Bombay against England was a very remarkable show. We hardly get to see teams like Nepal and the other developing countries can come up and play to such a level, and I'm sure this is going to be the path, the way to go forward for the Nepal cricket.
Yes, of course. So what impressed you most about Nepal?
Today, I saw their fighting spirit and fearless cricket they played against England. England is not a small team, it's very strong and one of the leading cricketing nation in the world. And taking them on and challenging them at every step of the match, it was really spectacular to see the Nepali boys doing so well.
Do you see any specific areas that Nepal can be the best associate country?
See, the point is, I would rather say that Nepal should have won the match today with 10 runs in 6 balls in the last over. It's actually not a great target in T20 matches. So the lack of experience of your boys came out very strongly there, and I think they need to play the death overs better, and they need to bowl the death overs also better.
I think you really enjoyed the match.
Well, not only me, the entire country, my India, everybody watched and enjoyed the match. And in fact, most of the Indians were praying for Nepal to win the game.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. Yes. It was wonderful hearing that. Do you see Nepal taking the positives forward from Sunday's game in the remaining 3 group matches?
Well, people used to think that Nepal is a pushover, but I don't think it's anymore a pushover team, because this victory, this close loss to England will actually give them a lot of respect in the world of cricket. And going forward, there are so many matches to play, and in every match, the opponent are going to take Nepal very seriously. That means including Italy, Scotland, and the West Indies.
Let me ask you a final question in terms of your experience for so long in sports. Your final prediction about Nepal making it to the Super 8, and it has 2 associates, right? Scotland and Italy, and yes, the unpredictable West Indies in the group.
I'm sorry, I didn't get you.
Yeah, the predictions. What are the predictions for the game, especially for Nepal? Because it has 3 more countries to battle with. I mean, the Scotland, the Italy, and yes, the West Indies.
Yeah, this is a very learning curve for all these teams which have come through the qualifying stages of different continents. For Nepal, for Scotland, for Ireland, and all those teams which have not really been doing well, they don't get to play a lot of cricket, especially the T20 cricket in their season. I think this World Cup is a boon to all these teams to get exposed and to expose others with their style of play. So it's a great opening for Nepal. I really feel that Nepal's cricket is going to really go up, and the Indian subcontinent is going to have another very strong side, other than the established teams like India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insight. We are really overwhelmed and honored to have you here. That was a lot, and thank you so much for your wonderful time here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was all. Now we are moving on to our cover story. Nepal is home to more than 59 indigenous communities whose knowledge, culture and traditions shape the nation's identity. But as modernization accelerates, many of these ancient practices face the risk of fading away. Our cover story looks at efforts to preserve indigenous knowledge and what's at stake if they are lost. We will look into it after a short break. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Now, Nepal's unique cultural landscape is shaped by more than 59 recognized indigenous groups, Adivasi Janajati, who comprise 35.4% of the total population. Indigenous knowledge, skills and cultural practices form the foundation of their identity and daily lives, making Nepal distinct on the global stage. However, with the passage of time, many of these rich ethnic traditions are in a risk of disappearing. To address this growing concern, an indigenous conference was held in Kathmandu, Nepal. Rojina Rai and Pramila Bhandari brings the report.
Nepal is home to 59 officially recognized indigenous nationalities, Adivasi Janajati, each with its own language, cultural practices and traditional knowledge. However, many indigenous languages, folk songs, dances and ethnic skills are now facing the threat of extinctions, and many are in the verge of disappearance. Experts stress that preserving this knowledge and cultural heritage requires urgent action. Recognizing this urgency, a 3-day Nepal Indigenous Knowledge Conference was held in the capital city, Kathmandu. The conference brought together more than 800 indigenous representatives from across the country. It was organized by the National Foundation for Development of Indigenous Nationalities under the theme Exchange of Knowledge, Preservation of Heritage, and Building the Future. Cultural knowledge sharing, preservation and intergenerational learning was central to the discussions. Passed down from generations to generation, indigenous knowledge reflects centuries of lived experience and deep harmony with nature. However, the migration of younger generations away from ancestral lands as one of the foremost reasons creating gaps in knowledge transmission. Rapid modernization, urban migration, changing lifestyles, and weak institutional protection were also highlighted as contributing factors. Cultural experts emphasized the importance of documenting oral traditions through written, audio and visual media so that they can be preserved beyond memory alone.
अब आजभोलिको जुन जेनेरेसन आजभोलिको जो संस्कारहरूलाई चाहिँ एउटा विदेशी संस्कार ल्याउने भन्दाखेरि यसमा आएको हुनाले चाहिँ हाम्रो पौराणिक जुन एउटा संस्कार संस्कृति पनि हराउँदै गएको देखिन्छ। तसर्थ यो संस्कार संस्कृतिलाई अझ पनि जगेर्ना गर्नको लागि हामीले यस सम्मेलनद्वारा पुनः पुरानै हाम्रो संस्कारलाई पनि जुन लोपामुख छ जो धेरै एउटा चाहिँ आधुनिकले चाहिँ बनाउँदै आएको कुरालाई चाहिँ लोप गर्दै आएका छन् त्यसलाई एउटा चाहिँ पुनः जागरण दिनको लागि अर्थात् पुनः यसलाई चाहिँ सञ्चालनको लागि यसलाई जगेर्ना गर्नको लागि आजको यो सम्मेलन चाहिँ हाम्रो आयोजना गरेको छ।
The conference concluded that preserving indigenous knowledge in Nepal is not only about protecting culture but also about safeguarding identity, dignity and continuity for future generations. A collective effort from the state, indigenous communities nationwide, and especially the younger generations who carry this heritage forward is strongly urged to safeguard Nepal's indigenous assets. Rosina Rai with Pramila Bhandari reporting for NTV World.
Now, Nepal's President Ramchandra Paudel says political stability is possible only when inclusive governance is practiced in reality. Speaking in Kathmandu at the opening of the Silver Jubilee of the National Foundation for Indigenous Nationalities and the Nepal Indigenous Knowledge Conference, President Paudel said indigenous languages, scripts, culture and traditions are not just cultural heritage but core elements of Nepal's national identity. He emphasized the need for stronger policy and institutional efforts by the state to preserve and promote these indigenous assets. At the event, Home Minister Om Prakash Aryal called indigenous culture and tradition knowledge a shared national heritage, while Foundation officials said in-depth discussions will guide further conservation efforts. For the March 5 House of Representatives election, Nepal's Election Commission has tightened screws on spending of parties and candidates. Financial transparency and regulated expenditure underscore EC's efforts to strengthen democratic processes and ensure that money power does not overshadow political competition. Amid winds of change central to the March 5 election, the financial scrutiny is likely to shape both how parties plan their campaigns and how voters perceive of the conduct political actors. Sabika Shrestha explores the financial limit and spendings.
With less than a month remaining for Nepal's House of Representatives election, tighter financial regulations from the Election Commission has affected parties and candidates' campaigns. The aim, according to the Commission, is to promote transparency, control rising election costs, and curb the influence of money in politics. The Commission has divided the country's 165 constituencies into 5 categories and fixed different campaign expenditure ceilings based on voter numbers, geography, and accessibility. Spending limits range from a minimum of 2.5 million rupees to a maximum of 3.3 million rupees, with variations applied even within the same district. According to the Commission, candidates in 26 constituencies are allowed to spend up to 3.3 million rupees, while 52 constituencies have a ceiling of 3.1 million rupees. Similarly, candidates in 65 constituencies can spend up to rupees 2.9 million. 17 constituencies have a cap of 2.7 million rupees and 5 constituencies have been assigned the lowest limit of rupees 2.5 million. Assistant spokesperson of the Election Commission, Kul Bahadur Zisi, said that differences in expenditure limits within the same district are determined by factors such as the number of voters and geographical conditions.
Everything should be included, whether it is in rallies or campaigns or in advertisements or in other activities. All those spendings should be included together. Then it should not be beyond the given limitation. According to PR system, they have to spend as per the number of their close list candidates. In first past the post system, each candidate can spend from 25 lakh to 33 lakh. It is depending on the number of polling centers, number of the voters, and also the area of the constituency.
Constituencies permitted to spend the maximum of 3.3 million rupees include Taplejung, Pasthar, Sangkhuashaba, Sholukhumbu, Khotang, Dolakha, Ramechhap, Humla, Jazarkot, Bajhang, Doti, and Baitari. To further enhance financial transparency, the Election Commission has implemented the Election Campaign Bank Account Operation and Management Procedures 2082. Under the rules, political parties and candidates must operate campaign income and expenditure exclusively through designated bank accounts. Donations must be deposited directly into these accounts and cash transactions above 25,000 rupees are prohibited. The Commission has warned that failure to comply with spending limits or reporting requirements could lead to legal action, including challenges to election results. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Ram Thapa reporting for NTV World.
The Election Commission of Nepal has begun distributing essential materials from central and district offices ahead of the House of Representatives election on 5th March. 9 types of materials will be sent directly from central offices, while 37 types will be managed at the district level. Meanwhile, over 10.9 million ballot papers have been printed so far for the first past-the-post FPTP category of the House of Representatives election scheduled for coming March 5. Altogether, 20.32 million ballot papers are required for the HOR's FPTP category for all 165 constituencies across the country. Asian spokesperson GC confirmed that packing of printed ballot papers for 37 districts has already been completed. Now, as Nepal's parliamentary elections draw closer, candidates are intensifying door-to-door campaigns across the country. In the closely watched Chapa constituency, number 5 in eastern Nepal, 2 high-profile contenders, CPN-UML chairperson KP Sharma Oli and Rashtriya Swatantra Party leader Balen Shah are campaigning simultaneously. Oli has been the constituency since Friday, meeting voters and party workers in Kamal Rural Municipality. Shah arrived today, holding interactions across Damak, including neighborhoods considered Oli's home base. Chapa 5 remains a key battleground as the election date approaches. Now, Nepali Communist Party coordinator Pushpa Kamal Dahal has urged party leaders and cadres not to be distracted by rumors of an election delay. Speaking at the program at the party's Paristada office in Kathmandu, Dahal said the election would proceed as scheduled and called on party members to focus on campaigning. He stated that the party has formed an electoral alliance with 26 political parties, claiming the campaign environment is favorable. Other senior leaders at the event emphasized the need to prioritize outreach in rural areas over the capital. Nepal has launched a nationwide vaccination campaign against cervical cancer, targeting adults and girls in grade 6 and those aged 10 years outside school. The campaign, running until 27th February, will also include girls who missed last year's HPV vaccination, currently in grade 7 to 10, as well as out-of-school girls aged 11 to 14. The vaccine protects against the human papilloma virus, a leading cause of cervical cancer. Health Minister Dr. Sudha Gautam urged parents to encourage their children to get vaccinated, highlighting that the vaccine is safe and crucial for saving women's lives. She also stressed the importance of regular cervical cancer screening for women over 30. Here in Nepal's Bardia district, human-wildlife conflicts have claimed 14 lives in the first 7 months of the current fiscal year, with 1 person still missing. On 5th February alone, a man and a woman were killed in separate leopard attacks, sparking protest by local residents who surrounded the district administration office demanding safety measures. Authorities have convened the District Security Committee and pledged to implement all legal measures to control problematic wildlife immediately. Teams from the Division Forest Office and the National Nature Conservation Fund have trapped 5 leopards this year, but conflicts continue. Officials urge villagers to reduce dependence on forests and adopt safety measures, highlighting that more than 10% of attacks occur inside forest areas, underscoring the need for community awareness and precautionary steps. Now we are having a public pulse on this.
गाउँको छेउछाउमा ठुल्ठुलो बत्ती हालिदिनु पर्यो। यो हामीले कसरी हुन्छ, वडा कार्यालयबाट हुन्छ कि यो नगरपालिकाबाट हुन्छ, जसरी भए पनि यो व्यवस्था गर्नु पर्यो।
हमार गाउँ नजिक बनवा आप अठह सडक अठह बनवा सड्ड निस्कट चिटवा कबू काल त डगरी में सुटल फेर रहत बाइक छेकट लड़का बच्चन फेर डरबा उहर जिठ ख्याल ओ ये बघो हन चाह जसिक फे बजा क या नि कुछ कई के फे किट मार पड़ल किट ये बघो हन पकड़ कर ले जाके कुछ ठाउँ चिड़िया खाना में ढार पड़ल नि त मरना आदेश दिए पड़ल।
अब यो बाघबाट चितुवाबाट बच्नलाई अब ज्यान बहुत जोखिम अवस्थामा छ। यो खेतीपाती गर्दा पनि अब खेती स्याहार्न पनि नपाइने भयो। अब त्यसकारणले कि नेपाल सरकारले यसलाई चाहिँ नियन्त्रणमा ल्याउन सक्नु पर्यो कि गाउँले जनता मिलेर नजिकका पाइक पर्ने चाहिँ यसलाई चाहिँ मार्ने हकुवा शिकार गर्ने र उले मान्छे मार्दा केही नहुने अनि उलाई मान्छेले बाघलाई मार्दा के हुन्छ।
यो बर्दियामा यो अधिकांश भागहरू अब बर्दिया राष्ट्रिय निकुञ्जसँग जोडिएको र भारतीय जंगलहरूसँग पनि जोडिएका कारण बर्दियामा विगत वर्षदेखि नै मानव र वन्यजन्तु बीच धेरै द्वन्द्वहरू परिरहेको छ र मानवीय क्षति पनि निकै भइरहेको छ। यो न्यूनीकरण गर्नको लागि सर्वप्रथम त वन्यजन्तुहरूलाई अलिकति सुरक्षित किसिमले राख्ने किसिमको वन जंगलहरूको व्यवस्थापन गर्नु पर्यो।
बाघहरू धेरै छ भने जस्तो हात्तीहरू अस्ति उपहार दियो, कहिले गैंडाहरू उपहारहरू बाहिरी देशहरूलाई दिन्छ नि, तिनीहरूमा चाहिँ बाघहरूलाई नै उपहार दिएर चाहिँ बर्दिया अर्थात् बर्दियाबाट चाहिँ बाघहरू उपहार गएर नेपालले उपहार दियो भने जस्तो गरेर तिनीहरूलाई उपहार दिन पनि सकिन्छ र धेरै भएका बाघहरू त्यस्तो छ भने उनीहरूलाई एउटा चिडियाघर जस्तोहरू बनाएर सङ्ग्रहालयहरू जस्तो बनाएर त्यहाँ संरक्षण गर्ने र जङ्गल जनावरहरू जङ्गलमा जति हैन मृग चितलहरू लगायत धेरै बाघले खाने चीज जनावर हुन्छन् नि तिनीहरूको चाहिँ संख्या चाहिँ जङ्गलमै वृद्धि गर्नुपर्छ, तिनीहरूलाई लोप हुनबाट बचाउने।
Lined up are the international updates. For now, quick recap into the headlines. England survived Nepal's scare to win by 4 runs in dramatic T20 World Cup opener in Mumbai. Kathmandu Valley air quality reaches unhealthy levels, ranked 7th among the most polluted cities globally. High-level commission nears completion of report on human and physical losses during the Gen Z movement in Nepal. Nepal divides 165 constituencies into 5 categories, establishes clear spending ceilings for fair election process. President Paudel highlights inclusive governance and indigenous heritage as Nepal faces threats to cultural traditions. And Iranian Foreign Minister Arachi rules out giving up uranium enrichment amid renewed indirect talks with Washington. Now, in the international updates, we have Japan voted in snow-hit snap elections today, with Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi hoping to turn a honeymoon start into a resounding ballot box victory. Opinion polls suggest that Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, which has governed almost non-stop for decades, will easily win more than the 233 seats needed to regain a majority in the powerful 465-member lower house. Pollsters even suggest with some caution due to undecided voters and wintry weather that the LDP and its coalition partner could secure 310 seats needed for a handy 2/3 majority. This would be the best result for the LDP since 2017 when Takaichi's mentor, the late ex-premier Shinzo Abe, achieved a similar result. In another Asian country, Thailand also held its general election today, with early reports showing progressive reformist parties leading opinion polls, but the incumbent conservative bloc was widely expected to retain power. Voters' turnout remained high amid ongoing political tension, reflecting deep public interest in the country's stalled reform agenda. It is projected results are likely to prolong Thailand's political deadlock, as no party appears poised to secure a clear parliamentary majority. The election also marks another chapter in Thailand's years-long struggle between reformist movements and entrenched conservative interests. Now, senior Hamas leader Khalid Mashal has rejected U.S. and Israeli calls for the Palestinian Islamist movement to disarm or allow foreign intervention in Gaza, insisting that the territory and Palestine remain under Palestinian control. Speaking at the Al Jazeera Forum in Doha, Mashal said Palestinians govern themselves. Gaza belongs to its people and Palestine belongs to its people. We will not accept any foreign rule, underscoring Hamas' stance against external oversight. The remarks come amid escalating tensions in Gaza, where Israel has pressed for disarmament measures as part of broader security and diplomatic negotiations. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said talks with the United States, including in a trilateral format with Russia, are adding clarity on how and when the war could end. Speaking to members of Ukraine's negotiating team in Kyiv, Zelensky stressed that each meeting contributes to understanding how and when the war can really end, emphasizing the central role of security guarantees for Ukraine's sovereignty. Zelensky's comments come amid intensified diplomatic engagement as the US and European partners continue to explore frameworks for ceasefires, territorial negotiations, and security arrangements with Moscow. Now, a research team from the University of Science and Technology of China, USTC, has achieved significant advances in the field of scalable quantum networks, bringing this transformative technology closer to real-world application. A central goal of quantum information science is the creation of highly efficient and ultra-secure quantum networks, which require the long-distance distribution of quantum entanglement, a phenomena involving a unique connection between parties. A major obstacle, however, has been signal loss in optical fibers, where transmission efficiency drops drastically with distance, making large-scale networks impractical. With this, let's take a short break.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim have reaffirmed plans to deepen bilateral ties during Modi's two-day visit to Kuala Lumpur. The leaders described relations as a comprehensive strategic partnership and oversaw the exchange of 11 agreements covering semiconductors, disaster management and peacekeeping. Modi highlighted cooperation in chips, AI and digital technologies, while Anwar stressed faster implementation and expanded trade, including local currency settlements. The visit marks Modi's first to Malaysia in over a decade. Venezuela has received $500 million from its first oil sale under a U.S. brokered agreement after shipping between 30 and 50 million barrels of crude to the United States, providing limited relief to its cash-strapped economy. Under the deal, oil revenues are deposited into a U.S.-controlled restricted account in Qatar, with funds released only for approved public spending such as salaries and essential services. The agreement follows the U.S. military abduction of President Nicolas Maduro in January and the appointment of Delcy Rodriguez as interim president. Washington has signaled it will retain oversight of Venezuela's oil sector, including control over revenue distribution. Vietnam's economy showed strong momentum at the start of the year, supported by faster industrial production, rising trade, and sustained foreign investment. Industrial activity and business confidence improved in January, while inflation remained under control, with consumer prices up 2.53% year-on-year. External trade expanded sharply, signaling a solid recovery in manufacturing and exports. Foreign direct investment also grew, with newly registered FDI rising 14.4% and disbursed capital up 11.3%. Tourism rebounded strongly as international arrivals rose nearly 19% to a January record.
That was our business news. Now we are moving into sports. Protesters and police clashed in the Corvetto neighborhood of Milan at the end of a demonstration against the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympic Games. Various groups had gathered to march with banners criticizing the environmental impact of the Games, and notably the presence of some agents from the U.S. Immigration Enforcement Agency, ICE, who are in Italy to help provide security for the American delegation. 6 people have been arrested after police clashed with protesters in Milan, one of the hosts of the Winter Olympic Games, during the first day of the competition. It comes after the government tightened protest laws in the wake of a demonstration last weekend in Turin that left more than 100 officers injured, according to government figures. Meanwhile, officials are investigating suspected sabotage on northern Italy's railway network on Saturday. Now the weather updates. Now, before we wrap up, let's have a recap of the headlines. England survived lead Nepal's care to win by 4 runs in dramatic T20 World Cup opener in Mumbai. Kathmandu Valley air quality reaches unhealthy levels, ranked 7th among the most polluted cities globally. High-level commission nears completion of report on human and physical losses during the Gen Z movement in Nepal. Nepal divides 165 constituencies in 5 categories, establishes clear spending ceilings for fair election process. President Paudel highlights inclusive governance and indigenous heritage as Nepal faces threats to cultural traditions. And Iranian Foreign Minister Arachi rules out giving up uranium enrichment amid renewed indirect talks with Washington. That's all here for the moment at NTV World News Hour. I'm Suveksha Rajak and thank you for staying with us here. Good night.